And now the next case
is suing her boyfriend's half-brother, 26-year-old Timothy Harpster, for stealing her car. Timothy says the car was in his name.
All right, Miss Bass. This gentleman was your boyfriend's brother. Still your boyfriend?
Yes.
This is the boyfriend?
Yes.
Were you all living together?
Yes.
And according to your complaint, you had a car.
Mm-hmm.
Your insurance was very expensive.
Correct.
Why was your insurance so expensive?
Because I was only 20, so my insurance was really high. And my policy was about to expire, so Tim had given the offer to put it in his name.
Okay. It's your car, and you're going to be driving it.
Primarily, yes.
And in order to get cheaper insurance, you signed the car over to him.
Not only that. We were all living together, and Tim's car was about to get taken because he didn't pay on it, so I was driving his and he was driving mine. And we would all be driving each other's cars, and so he had to put it in his name.
So then it was really all of your car. Everybody paid their fair share of gas and maintenance on it and everything else?
No, I paid the maintenance.
Everybody paid gas for the car?
Well, what we drove, we put in gas and stuff, and
You're not, Miss Bass, you got to understand something. You may waltz around me, but ultimately, I'm going to get to the truth.
Okay.
You understand?
Sure.
What you did was defraud the insurance company. That was your intent.
No.
Your intent was, oh yes, your intent was that it was really your car, because that's why you're here. That's why you're here. It was really your car. You put it in his name for insurance purposes, because if he took out the insurance, it would be cheaper. And then, when you all had a falling out, he took the car, and you want your car back. That's what the case is about. So it wasn't all of your cars, it was your car. That's what you're suing for. Right?
Right.
Oh, okay. So what you really did was, when you put the car in his name, which he acknowledges, and he acknowledges that it was put in your name for insurance purposes, right?
Yes.
You didn't pay her anything for the car, did you?
No.
She didn't make you a present of the car, did she?
No.
It was put in your name for one reason only, to defraud the insurance company. Right?
Yes.
Now, when did you stop living together?
In February.
Who moved out?
I did.
What'd you do with the car?
Well, it sat at the house. I moved out on the 1st of February, and shortly after that, Justine, my brother, I guess, moved out of the house.
When?
As of, I think it was March, around March 1st.
When did you move out?
We moved out on March 1st.
And?
I actually had some problems with Justine and my brother trying to get some of the things, my belongings, back out of the house. Finally, I did get to pick up the motorcycle that was left in the garage.
I don't care about your things. That's not for me,
Right.
sir. What happened to the car?
Like I said, we had gotten into some arguments and things. I didn't take the car until almost the end of March. The car was left at the house.
In the old house?
Yeah, they actually moved out and didn't take the car with them.
Is that right?
And it sat
We
there.
couldn't. The title was not in my name, and it would be considered stolen, and the cops would have been called, and I would have gotten in trouble.
So you left the car there?
Had to.
So you left the car there?
Yes.
After you moved out on March 1st, when did you contact him?
For what?
For your car back.
I had tried calling him, and he wouldn't answer the phone. Tom had tried calling him, and he wouldn't speak to us. And so...
You wanted some stuff from the house.
He already got it.
What'd you do with the car, Mr. Harpster?
I sold it, actually.
To whom?
A friend of mine.
Show me. Show me proof that you sold it.
I don't even have proof, but I did, though.
When did you sell it?
3 weeks ago. Actually, I didn't even have a problem with giving them back the title for their car. I didn't want their car. I could care less about that car, but when I asked them for the rest of the things back, such as the key for the motorcycle that was left in the garage, they started a big problem. So
you sold the car?
No, not necessarily.
How much did you get for it?
$900.
What year car was it?
92 Acura.
How many miles did it have on it?
117,000.
Can I get the blue book on a 1992 Acura? Bird, it's a hatchback.
Yes.
Let's put it in fair condition, please.
What kind of car is it?
Integra GSR.
It wasn't a GSR. It was a GS.
GS.
Fair condition, 1625.
Can I take a look? That's the G. You have to teach me how to do this thing.
She has an Integra. There's the Integra list. 92 Acura.
Right, a GS.
Right, and then the GS. And then she has a GS hatchback. So 1625 on fair condition.
Your Honor.
What is it, sir?
As Tim's saying, that car is a GS. The GSR was it was a special edition. It was a only came in the hatchback. The car was a hatchback. If he had the title.
Only a difference of $100, sir. Listen, you have to consider yourself very, very lucky that I'm even considering any part of your claim, because usually when people come into a court with not clean hands, I throw them out.
I understand what you were saying as far as the defrauding insurance company, but the fact is that Tim was primarily driving that car. His car was often parked.
Let me explain something to you. You want me to read you what your girlfriend said in her complaint?
Well, I've read it.
You want me to read
myself.
you? Okay. The insurance policy on my car was about to expire, and Tim said he could put it on his policy so that I could get a cheaper rate. That's why she says that you put the car in his name,
That was
to
not
get
the-
a cheaper rate. That's fraud on the insurance company, sir. Any way you slice it. You're very, very fortunate that I'm considering any part of your claim. Certainly not worth $2,800. I don't believe that you got $900 for it. I'm not even sure that it's still not sitting in your driveway someplace.
No, it isn't. I did sell it.
And you sold it because you were angry over your property.
No, actually, I sold it because I asked them, I would have gave them the car back. Yes, I was upset about my property.
So why don't you just say yes?
Yes, I was upset
Instead
about
of
that.
excuses. So you were angry that they wouldn't give you the key to your motorcycle and the other things that
Your
you
Honor,
want. You said,
may
I'm
I?
speaking. So you said, car's in my name, and according to your answer, you said I could do whatever I want with it.
Plus,
That's what
also,
you
it
said.
was left there, yes.
That's what you said. Car's in my name, I can do whatever I want with it. Right?
Yes.
Your Honor, we did leave the car there, but what were we supposed to do? Remove
You
the
were
car?
supposed to do exactly what you did now, sir, which is immediately go to small claims court there and have a case that was heard sometime the beginning of March. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, I was also speaking to other family members of mine. My brother Jim, who is an older brother than both of us, he was also speaking to him because we are family and we didn't want to have to resort to this, you know.
But ultimately you did.
Had to.
That's we had taken
Right.
everything else we could. And
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 138 on the calendar, the matter of Lyons versus Lyons. Party's been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Lyons, the defendant is your soon-to-be former daughter-in-law. She and your son have one child together.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, you believe she should be responsible for paying all of your legal fees and other expenses as a result of false charges that you claim she filed against you. Ms. Lyons says that while she did file charges against you, your conduct warranted those charges. It was a terrible experience that you and your family put her through, and she's going to describe it to me. So I think we're going to start with you.
Okay.
How long have you and Mrs. Lyons' son been married?
We've been married for almost 2 years now.
He is currently incarcerated, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I read here, and he's incarcerated because according to at least what I surmise, he was on probation
Yes, ma'am.
when this incident occurred, and as a result of this incident, he was put back into jail to finish his sentence. He had already served part of his sentence. Is that right, madam?
Yes.
What was he incarcerated for? Do you know?
Originally, when he was 17, he was involved in a crime. It was a robbery.
Is that the only time he was arrested?
Yes. But the only time in his whole life, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yes, the only time in his whole life.
No, and well, in his
How
adult
old is he
life-
now?
He will be 21 in July.
Between 17 and 21, how many times was he arrested, Miss Lyons?
He was violated on probation when he reported to his probation officer because he failed a drug test for marijuana. Then this incident was the next time.
When he was violated, did he go back to prison?
He did. He went into a drug rehab program.
For how long?
6 months.
And then this incident,
Yes, ma'am.
which sent him back to prison for how many years?
22 months.
Okay. Now, according to what I read in your answer, when your husband came out of his drug rehab, everything was okay? I mean, you were separated. You weren't together anymore.
Correct.
Is that right? But he was seeing your son?
Yes, yes, he was.
What happened?
My roommate and I, we were going through some financial problems at that time, and I was not getting any kind of support from Richard, so I was
pretty much forced to move to Gainesville with my brother until I got on my feet again. And then that's when Tanya and I had moved.
When did you move to Gainesville?
I believe it was between June 25th and June 30th.
According to you, you called the next day and let your husband know where you were living.
That's correct.
What happened next?
He got very furious on the telephone and basically started yelling at me and threatening me, telling me that when he got hold of Jeremy, I would not see him anymore, and just made a lot of verbal threats and did a lot of name calling.
Now we're going to get to this incident that caused the problem, Mrs. Lyons. Why don't you tell me what happened?
Well, we sought counsel with a family law lawyer who advised us that because Lindsay and Richard were still married, because there was no case in court, he had as much legal right to his son as she did. And we decided Wednesday night that we would go Thursday to pick up Jeremy in Gainesville.
Who did Jeremy live with during the 6 months that your son was in drug rehab?
He lived primarily with his mother.
And before he went into drug rehab, was he working?
Yes, he was.
What kind of work was he doing?
He was helping his father. My husband was doing maintenance work. We ran an apartment complex.
So he wasn't doing much?
Actually, he was also working a sales job.
So he was working a lot?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was watching Jeremy while he was working a lot?
Well, if Lindsay was not working at that time, we were watching. If Lindsay was not working, she was watching.
Right.
If she was working, we watched.
So let's get the story straight, Miss Lyons. So the child is 2 years old, and his primary physical caretaker during those 2 years has been his mother. And you, your husband, and your son decided after you spoke to a lawyer to go and physically retrieve the child from his mother. That's what you decided to do.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We arrived at her brother's house, which was a small trailer that had 3 other adults and an infant child living there as well. Her brother's girlfriend, Amanda, answered the door, told us that Lindsay and Tanya and Jeremy had gone on the city bus downtown and to sell their blood for money. They were broke. So we went to the nearest bus stop. We saw Lindsay and Tanya and Jeremy coming up the road. Richard got out of the car, crossed the street to their side of the road. Lindsay handed Jeremy to Richard.
Excuse me, that is incorrect.
Just a second. Okay. Go ahead.
They stood there and talked for a few moments. And after a few moments, Richard turned and walked across the street to where we were parked.
Because you were going to take the baby.
We were going to visit with the baby.
No, that's not what you told me a moment ago. What you told me a moment ago was
yes,
you were going to take the baby
for visitation. Yes, ma'am.
Baloney!
I'm sorry.
You weren't taking him for a visit. You were taking him back to where you lived so that when you had a custody case, you would have physical custody. The child would be in the physical custody of his father. I've been in this business a long time.
Yes, ma'am, I know you have.
So don't try to sugarcoat it. It was your intention to go there. You waited for them at the bus stop to take the child.
Yes.
Now continue as to what happened.
Well, Lindsay came across the street. She screamed at Richard.
What did she scream?
The first thing I heard was, "You're not taking my son." And he wrapped his arms around the baby, turned around to protect him. She was pulling on Jeremy's arm. The next thing I heard was, "GD, Richard, get off my son." Her lover jumped on Richard. My husband got out of the car, pushed her off of Richard. She said something to him. He said, "Don't hit me." Got in the car.
Your husband was ultimately convicted, correct?
Of a misdemeanor.
He was convicted. Misdemeanor is a crime.
Yes, ma'am, I know that.
Against Tanya.
Against Tanya, yes.
You were arrested.
Yes, we were.
You ultimately took the 2-year-old because you were able to get her off you. According to you, the car started and you were still hanging out of the car. Is that right?
Both Tanya and I were, yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You went to kidnap him. And now you're complaining that you were arrested and you had legal fees. That comes under the category of being too bad.
And later today,
she walked in, she called me and Kim in the bed together, and she just started going crazy. She was trying to cut me, cut Kim.
What was I supposed to do? Just let them continue doing what they was doing?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah Lyons claims daughter-in-law Lindsay Lyons had her falsely arrested. Lindsay says Deborah tried to kidnap her 2-year-old son.
They left?
Correct.
You called the police?
I sure did.
How long did they have Jeremy in their custody before he was returned to you?
They had him about a day and a half. They had left with Jeremy. There was no car seat in the vehicle when they finally took off with him. And they, as far as I knew from what the police told me, they were arrested the very next day, and I was able to pick my son up that night.
You understand that I have no sympathy for you whatsoever.
I can tell.
The only one that I have sympathy for is this little 2-year-old.
He was
That's
a
the
year
only-
old at the time.
I don't care if he was a year old or if he's 15 months old.
Yeah,
That's the
well,
only one that I have
Richard was part of his life, Your Honor.
Madam, Richard hadn't been part of his life for 6 months because he was in a drug rehab program.
No,
he
we
was
took
living
care
with
of-
his mother. And you are pretty thick if you don't get the fact that if you have a grandchild and you want to see that grandchild and you want to be part of that grandchild's life, which is something that you enjoyed, I assume that while your son was in rehab, you saw him
Right, I took
regularly,
Jeremy to see my son.
regularly. So it's not as if his wife was trying to prevent you from visiting with him during the course of the 6 months immediately preceding this custodial interference, but you injected yourself, and instead of doing something that the law proposes is the appropriate way of dealing with a custody dispute, which is you go immediately to Gainesville or to Tampa, and your son files a petition for custody, and you have a hearing, you went to kidnap him. And now you're complaining that you were arrested and you had legal fees. That comes under the category of being too bad. Okay? Too bad.
Okay.
You have no case, Miss Lyons. You should have let the courts resolve this issue. Whatever you may think of your future former daughter-in-law's lifestyle doesn't impact the fact that she has been the child's primary physical caretaker. And if you want to be a good grandma, you help her.
Which I did.
And you continue to do that. How many times have you been arrested in your life?
Never.
That's one parent. The other one has been arrested for a violent crime, has been violated on probation twice, and is currently incarcerated. Judge hearing that case? No issue.
Okay.
No issue. You have no case, Miss Lyons. It's unfortunate for you. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I disagree with her lifestyle choices.
I was very sad, and I knew, but my main concern was my son.
I have very strong beliefs and faiths, and I find it to be an abomination.
My gut tells me that I don't want to have anything to do with them.
She moved her lover in and just flaunted it in our face.
I don't want to put my son in that situation ever again.
My son still has father's rights, and he will sue for them, and I believe he will get them. And as long as he has rights, we will too.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Davis versus Seco, step forward, please.
Lola Davis is suing her granddaughter's mother, 21-year-old Michelle Seco, for attorney fees as a result of a restraining order. Michelle says she was fearful of Lola kidnapping her daughter.
Miss Davis, Miss Seco is the mother of your granddaughter.
Yes.
She was not married to your son, but they do have a child together, and that child is how old?
3.5.
Where is your son now?
He's incarcerated.
For what?
Violation of a probation.
For what?
DWI.
So he has a drinking problem.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that Miss Seco filed a false application for a protective order against you and your husband,
Yes.
as a result of which you had to retain an attorney, and you want her to pay for your legal fees.
Yes, I do.
Miss Seco says that the allegations in her application were true, and it's unfortunate because you used to see your granddaughter regularly but don't anymore.
Right.
So, Miss Seco, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
When did you file this application for a protective order?
On January 11th,
Under what circumstances?
because of the harassing phone call that I had got from him saying that Christina's father was going to kidnap her and take her up to Kansas City because he was going to work on the railroad with his dad. And I asked him about it, and he didn't know anything about it, but he was moving up there, and he was thinking of giving me sole custody to get his life straight. And I told them that, you know, they called the cops on me, and I told them that they were no longer going to see her because, you know, if Kenneth's not there...
What do you mean they called the cops on you? For what?
For checking on the well-being. They called the cops several times on me and family services, and I have the reports here if you'd like to see them.
I would. And I'd also like to see the application that you filed for the protective order.
Okay.
So you filed a petition in which you allege as follows. She is constantly harassing me if I don't let her see her granddaughter. She makes me out to be an unfit mother. She's several times called Division of Family and Children's Services and called the cops on me.
Yes.
When I would go to pick up my child, we would get into arguments and she would yell at me and threaten to take my child away. She's constantly harassing me about my 3-year-old daughter, which I fear she might kidnap and flee the state.
Yes.
Well, what did she say about kidnapping your child, or are these fears that you have that were born out of the fact that she said if you don't let me see her, something will happen?
She told me that whenever her son Kenneth was moving up to Kansas City and that his father had a lot of money and they were going to get full custody and make me out to be an unfit mother.
I never said that.
Just a second. So?
And I asked Kenneth about it, and he said that was not true. He was going to move and stay up there and get his life on track because he had his previous history, and he was going to give me sole custody.
Lola Davis says the mother of her granddaughter, Michelle Seco, took out a false restraining order against her.
How many grandchildren do you have, Miss Davis?
I have 13 total.
Unfortunately, you can't sue the person who granted her a temporary restraining order. You were granted a temporary restraining order, then you had a trial?
Yes.
And at the trial, the case was dismissed?
Yes.
Well, should never have been a temporary restraining order based upon these allegations. There is not one allegation here that is sufficient, in my judgment, for a court to have granted her a temporary restraining order.
Judge Judy?
Yes.
When she filed the ex parte orders on us, we had retained the attorneys to appear for us on our behalf, and by the time we did get to court, the whole case was dismissed. And I have a copy of the court transcript.
I don't have to read the transcript. I've been in the business a long time. When you file for a protective order, one of the things that you're stating is, based upon a fact, you are in fear for your safety or the safety of your child. Fact. She doesn't state any facts here. What she says is, I fear she might hire a hitman to kill me. Well, maybe she's crazy. Maybe that's why she has a fear. Maybe she's nuts. But I fear that she might kidnap my daughter. Well, that's not what she said, according to you, Miss Seco. According to you, what she said is, my husband is moving, and according to you, she said, and they have a lot of money. The parents have a lot of money, the relatives have a lot of money, and they're going to sue and try to get sole custody of the child. Whether that's true or not, that's legal. So there is nothing in your petition that should have inspired a judge to grant a temporary restraining order. So you're suing the wrong person, because she's not a lawyer. She didn't pull the wool over anybody's eyes. She made statements like she was, you know, free thinking, and somebody who wasn't using their noodle granted her a protective order, temporary, and by the time it got down to push comes to shove, they thought better of it and either dismissed it,
yes,
or she didn't show up and they dismissed it because she wasn't there. Or was there a hearing?
Yes, there was.
There was a hearing, and the court said there's no basis for a restraining order.
Correct.
Right. I think that there is probably a larger picture here, and that larger picture is, it's unfortunate that you're not seeing your granddaughter anymore.
I'm trying to file for grandparents' rights, Your Honor.
That's kind of a hard thing to do, because the law is very strict with regard to that now. Is there any way that you can envision having Mr. and Mrs. Davis see their granddaughter?
I mean, I didn't have a problem with it at all in the beginning until they started calling family services and cops coming out for false accusations.
Okay, now let me ask you this question. You live at home with your parents?
Yes.
do your parents have any objection to this Davises coming over to see your granddaughter for an hour or two in their house?
I mean, if it's at my house, I don't think they would really have a problem with it.
Well, Ms. Davis, if those are the circumstances now, at least for now, that Ms. Seiko is prepared to allow you to come and spend some time with your granddaughter, I would do that.
I am going to do that, Your Honor, because I love her very deeply.
They have 13 grandchildren.
Right.
You have one child. Your daughter only has 4 grandparents.
Yep.
Your son has a problem.
Yes, he does.
So, better be nice to her.
Yes.
Why don't you see while you're here if you can arrange for a time, an hour maybe on a Sunday? That would be reasonable.
Yes.
And it would certainly show me a level of maturity on your part.
Exactly, and I've always told her that she is the grandmother and nothing is ever going to change that, whether me and her son aren't talking or not, and I've always told her, even before I had my child.
So, why don't you see if this Sunday you can make some time? You live close enough, don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. It's number 7 on the calendar, the matter of Johnson Spain Jr. versus Bailey. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Johnson, you and Mr. Spain live together and have 2 children together.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are no longer a couple,
Yes, ma'am. No,
despite the fact that you both appear today as plaintiffs. My understanding of this rather complex case is that when you and Mr. Spain separated, Mr. Spain began a relationship with the defendant, Miss Bailey. And he, in fact, moved in with her. According to you, you tried to maintain a civil relationship with both of them, with Mr. Spain for the benefit of the children, and for Miss Bailey just because. But Miss Bailey was not happy with you for some reason, and it is your claim that she vandalized your car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are suing her as a co-plaintiff with Mr. Spain, who says that Miss Bailey kept some of his personal property when he moved out of the house because they are no longer together. Miss Bailey says that she did nothing to your car. It's actually you who harassed her, you and Mr. Spain. That it was Mr. Spain who damaged your car.
Correct.
And that you slashed her tires, you caused her to lose her job, and she wants from you, Mr. Spain, rent for the time that you were living with her. She has a counterclaim. All right, let's try to put some dates to these facts. Mr. Spain, when did you and Miss Johnson live together?
About 2000 and...
Maybe I'll ask Miss Johnson.
2. We moved in, was about July 2003.
And how old are your children?
My son is 2 and my daughter is 4.
And when did Mr. Spain move out?
He moved out November 23rd, 2004.
Why?
Because of our differences. It wasn't working out.
When did you move in with Miss Bailey?
About the 26th
Of what?
of November.
You knew her from before?
Yes.
From where?
School.
How come you moved in with Miss Bailey?
Because she had asked me to move in with her.
I mean, did you rent a room from her, or were you living together as a couple?
Living together as a couple.
So that while you were with Miss Johnson, you were also with Miss Bailey?
No. She
I mean, a short 3 days, sir, you were in somebody else's house.
She had called me on the phone talking to her.
Yeah. When I came home from work, he was on the phone talking to her.
On the 23rd of November?
Yes, ma'am.
So then he moved out and he was living with Miss Bailey. How long did you stay with Miss Bailey, Mr. Spain?
About a month and a half.
Is that right, Miss Bailey?
He moved in November 23rd. He was arrested January the 4th, so that's the last time he lived with me when he got out of jail.
What were you arrested for?
Home invasion.
Burglary?
Nah.
What?
Well, no,
Just kicked in the door.
Kicked in her door.
Yeah, he kicked in my door.
You kicked in her door?
Where his kids lay at their heads at night.
Shh. What'd you kick in her door for?
Just jealous, and I was really upset what was going on when I was living with her.
Well, so you were annoyed with Miss Bailey, so you kicked in Miss Johnson's door?
Yes.
It's very logical. Getting too old for this job. All right, Miss Johnson, tell me about the vandalism of your car. When did that happen?
December the 16th.
And you were still living with Miss Bailey, is that right, Mr. Spain?
Yes.
In between the time that they were together, it's been harassing phone calls. I mean, he would call, he would get me upset, he would get me upset, just arguing over our relationship, whatever. Then she would call, and she would play on the phone, repeatedly call, left threatening messages on my voicemail, and I just got, I mean, of course I've defended myself in the argument too, but I guess she got real upset to the point where she wants to come over to my house, and she'd scratched the car.
Well, I want to know, were you home when she scratched the car?
Yeah, I was home, but I was asleep. It happened overnight.
So you didn't see her scratch the car?
No, I didn't see her scratch the car, but I do have a witness with me.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear that witness. Tell me your name, please.
Monica Dykes.
Dykes, did you see on December 16th somebody vandalized Miss Johnson's car?
No, I wasn't with her at the time, but I was at her house. I was spending the night at her house, and she was supposed to go get me something to eat. And
Who was?
Mrs. Bailey. She didn't come back with my food, and I asked her why, and she said because she came in the house with a box cutter, and she said that she had scratched Miss Johnson's car.
Well, how do you know Miss Bailey?
They were going together. This is my brother.
When she came home, she just took out the box cutter and told you? What did she do?
No, she had the box cutter in her hand.
Walked in the door with the box cutter in her hand?
It was in her pocket, and she took it out.
Well, tell me about that. I'm curious about that whole moment when she walked into the house with the box cutter in her pocket.
When she walked into the house, I was like, well, what happened to the Burger King that you're supposed to bring back? She said, well, Burger King was closed, and I just came back from around Mrs. Johnson's house, and I scratched the car up, and I hope she come around here with some... She's lying.
So what did you say to her?
Nothing. I didn't say anything after that.
She's lying. You didn't say, why would you do that?
Well, I asked her why. She said, because she just been harassing me and all this other stuff.
Did she tell you what she'd been doing to harass you?
She said that Miss Johnson has been calling her house numerous of times.
So they were speed dialing each other.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Miss Bailey, now I'll hear from you.
Thank you so much. First of all, he moved in my home November 23rd of 2004. He moved out because he went to jail for kicking in her door. I was pregnant at the time with his kid. So when he got out of jail, I no longer want him in my home anymore. So while the process he's been in jail, me and Christina Stovall right here took all of his belongings.
I'm not at his claim yet, Miss Bailey.
Oh, okay. Well, where are we at?
I'm keying her car.
Oh, keying her car, and he keyed her car, and the night that he got arrested, he came over to my house bragging about keying her car in as well as kicking her door in. Why would I key her car? He kicked the key. I mean, he keyed the car in and kicked the door, and he know he did. I was there. If he's gonna kick her door in, she's gonna key her car.
She's lying.
Whatever, you lying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If somebody moves in with you in December and you get pregnant between December and January 4th, you're not too swift.
And later today.
Where is the car now?
The car is in front of my house now.
You have not sought to have the car returned to you, have you?
No.
Smart lady.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kimberly Johnson and Arthur Spain Jr. claim Arthur's ex-girlfriend, Tequila Bailey, keyed Kimberly's Pontiac Grand Am. Arthur also says Tequila won't return his belongings.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Step up. Tell me your name.
Christina Stovall.
You said that you were present when Mr. Spain acknowledged that he vandalized Miss Johnson's car?
Yes.
When was that?
January 4th.
Tell me about what he said.
Me and Tequila and her two sisters were in the living room. He came in through the door. He was sweating, walking around. You could tell he had did something. This is what he said. He said, I keyed in her car, I kicked in her door, and the police is coming. So Tequila said, let's go upstairs and talk about it.
Yeah, but the police report.
He did it.
He did it what?
He did it at 2 different times. When he keyed in her car a couple days before he kicked in her door. But he came in bragging about both of it.
Yeah.
No. No.
Yeah. He keyed her car. I don't know when he keyed the car in, but the night he got arrested.
Listen to me very carefully. Where did you spend Christmas?
At my house.
Did you see Miss Bailey?
I see her every day. All the
And
time.
what about Mr. Spain? Did you see him?
Yeah, I see him.
Shut.
I used to go to school with him. I used to go to his candy store. He knows who I am.
Okay. So you know them both, and you saw them between December 16th and January 4th. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what you're telling me is on January 4th, he acknowledged keying her car.
Because he came in all nervous.
All right. But the police report is from December 16th. Why in the world would he come in all nervous and hyper and confess to something that he had done on December 16th?
He already confessed to me a long time ago about it.
Because he was scared.
He was bragging.
Sit down.
Okay.
Good. Very good. No, I believe that he kicked in her door, but on December 16th, I believe her when she says that you went out to get her some Burger King and you came back and you keyed her car.
Nah.
Yeah, no. Nah. Okay, now, what stuff do you claim that you left at Miss Bailey's home?
A radio, TVs, CDs, DVDs, weights.
Where's all his stuff?
We took 2 trips to her mom and his mom's house, and he knows and she knows. As a matter of fact, I had Matt come get the guns that was in my house. They don't have any permits for.
What kind of guns?
Sawed-offs.
BB guns.
Sawed-offs.
Who is this gentleman?
That's my friend.
What does he have to do with this case?
His weights are in her house.
He helped haul
her
belongings
stuff
over
over
to
there.
her house.
And we hauled it right back. And I don't know what your father did with him, but
she
we hauled it
hauled
right back.
a few baskets over to his house. This is when he was locked up.
TV returned?
No. And
Everything
she
was
brought
returned.
me my shoes and she brought my shoes, a box full of my shoes, and my mocha control was in the box.
What kind of television did he bring to your house? Look at me directly. Don't look at the floor.
I'm looking at you. I don't know exactly what kind of television it was. With little black box television.
Where is it?
At his mom's house. Me and her took 2 trips to Hallville, Indiana, to give them their stuff. But he got locked up in my house. I got a letter in my mail from my landlord saying that if they find him or anything of his in my house again, I will be in court for eviction because he was not on my lease. So I quickly took all his stuff to his mother's house. All his stuff. He knows it.
She is lying.
Now, Miss Bailey, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me about your counterclaim. You think that Mr. Spain should pay you for rent?
Yes.
What kind of contract did you have with him for your
We didn't
rent?
have anything written down, signed, because when you're supposedly having a relationship, you don't do that. But we have verbal. You're going to pay half on everything. You're not going to stay in my house and lay up and eat, sleep, and not pay nothing on anything.
Miss Bailey.
Yes, ma'am.
We live in a civilized society. So I want you to leave your gutter language outside.
I can do that.
it.
That's fine.
And you're going to wait until I'm finished speaking before you open your mouth.
Okay.
You're going to leave your gutter language outside, and you're going to remember where you are. We understand each other?
We do.
Perfect.
Kimberly Johnson and Arthur Spain Jr. claim Arthur's ex-girlfriend, Tequila Bailey, keyed Kimberly's Pontiac Grand Am. Arthur also says Tequila won't return his belongings.
I believe that after he moved out, you wanted money, but I don't believe you had an agreement with him to pay you half of everything.
Somebody can't stay with me.
Listen to me. Next.
First of all, my tires were slashed. I couldn't get to work. I had to call in to get my car fixed. Second of all, they're playing my phone. He's coming to my job, my new job and my old job, harassing on me on my job.
Well, just a second. What did he say when he came to your job?
I broke up with him. He wants to be with me. He loves me. He wants to be a family. Let's make it work. I don't want to be with you. I want to be a family. Go raise your 2 kids with Kimberly.
Just a second. I don't understand you.
What do you mean?
You're talking too fast.
I talk fast all the time. I know. He wants to be with me.
So he came to you telling you that he wanted to be with you, he wanted to be a family.
Making a scene. Yeah, making a scene at work. He wanted to be with me.
And that's why you got fired.
That, and I had to call in because I was pregnant with his child, and while he was in jail. I couldn't work. I was sick.
I mean, you think that he's responsible for you?
Yeah, he helped me make the baby. Yeah.
What?
He helped make the baby. Yeah, he's responsible.
That's not a lawsuit.
It is mine.
It's not one that I'm going to hear.
Well, that's fine, Miss Judge Judy.
It's not one that I'm going to hear. How many children do you have?
I have 1.
Okay. So you know how babies are made, right?
I do.
If you don't want to have the baby, then what you do is you take precautions so that you don't have a baby. If somebody moves in with you in December and you get pregnant between December and January 4th, you're not too swift.
Right.
Can I see pictures of your car?
Yes. Yeah, Your Honor, she scratched the whole driver's side, and she also...
Can I just see the pictures of the car?
My boyfriend.
Good. Okay, did you have these scratches taken care of?
No, ma'am.
You have an estimate on how much it's going to cost
Yes,
to have
ma'am,
the
I do.
scratches taken care of? That's a reasonable estimate. Listen, there is no question in my mind that the two of you women behaved badly towards each other, right?
Right.
I think Mr. Spain behaved badly, too. Listen, Miss Bailey, don't get in between people. It's always a very bad idea. If someone has a fight with his wife, woman, girlfriend, whatever it is, and if you take him in the day that he had a fight, and then if you make a baby with him, that makes you a smart woman who's not acting too smart, or a stupid woman who's not acting too smart. I don't know which one you are.
I was stupid.
But whoever you are, you owe us $600 to have a car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. You count the claims dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I ain't even mad though. That's the whole thing. I ain't even mad. I'm cool. I'm cool.
She's a liar. She's crazy. She needs some mental help.
I don't need anything from any one of them. And I'm still strong, sitting on my own 2 feet.
That's the devil right there.
Thing is, I got fists. Come on, bring it, because I'm ready. Straight up, I'm ready.
The girl's crazy. And you seen it in there. She crazy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Marquez versus Welfare, step forward, please.
23-year-old Joe Marquez is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old student Jamie Welfare, for selling his washer and dryer. Jamie claims the appliances were a Mother's Day gift from Joe.
How old are you, Mr. Marquez?
I'm 23. I'll be 24 in a couple days.
Before you moved in with Miss Welfare and her 2 children, where were you living?
I was living with my parents.
And when did you move in with Miss Welfare?
I moved in with her in mid-October of 2003.
And how long did you live there?
I lived there until the beginning of April.
And where were you working during that time?
The whole time I was working at Denny's restaurant.
Part-time?
Part-time, yes. I also coached football at the local elementary school.
What was your financial arrangement when you were living with Miss Welfare?
We paid half. I paid $300, she paid $300.
For rent?
For rent, correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
What about the rest of the expenses?
We usually split those down the middle as well.
And what were you doing, Miss Welfare?
I also had 2 jobs. I was working at 2 separate restaurants.
Okay. This is what the complaint is about. The complaint says that while you were living there, you purchased a washer and dryer. When you moved out in April of 2004, you told Miss Welfare that she could keep them for a while because you had no place to take them because you were moving back with your parents. A year later, you finally get your own place. You let her know you want your washer and dryer back, and she says, forget it.
Actually, I did have a place to put them. I have a receipt for my storage space, which I purchased in April 17th of 04 as well, which was actually 5 days after I moved everything out of the apartment.
All right, so you didn't want to put it in your storage space because...
Well, she has 2 children, and we've been to the laundromat together, and it takes quite a long time to do laundry. And since my parents already had a washer and dryer, I had no need for them at that time. And I had just purchased them in March of that year, which had only been about a month. So I figured I might as well get some use out of them by leaving them at her apartment.
That's somewhat correct, but not completely correct.
23-year-old Joe Marquez is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old student Jamie Welfare, for selling his washer and dryer. Jamie claims the appliances were a Mother's Day gift from Joe.
Well, let me hear what your version of the events were.
When he bought those for me, it was an early Mother's Day gift. I was the one doing all the laundry. He never even did his own laundry. I was doing my laundry, his laundry, and both of my children's laundry. And between the 2 jobs and being at the laundromat all the time, it was a lot of time away. And so we had been discussing, him buying a washer and dryer for me, and he was looking online and said, hey, come and pick the one you want. And so I picked the one I want. He gave them to me. When he moved out, I was sleeping when he moved out. Our relationship had gotten kind of rocky. There was never any discussion about me giving them back, ever.
When, for the first time, did you contact her with regard to retrieving these 2 items?
Your Honor, as she said, I moved out at the very beginning of April of 2004. We didn't talk for 2 weeks afterwards. After that, we, began phone conversations, and actually on May 5th of 2004, she came over to my house, my parents' house, for a little Cinco de Mayo get-together. In May of 2004, I gave Miss Welfare $100 because she was having a rough time making it on her own in the apartment, and I have here a check for utilities slash other stuff I gave to Miss Welfare for $100 to help her out.
Can you answer my question?
Sure.
You remember what my question was?
Yes, I do. Have we ever talked about it? About the washer and dryer?
When for the first time did you ask for it back?
I first asked for it back when I found out I was moving out with my current girlfriend, which was in March of 2005.
Okay, so between April of 2004 and March 2005, you had absolutely no discussion with her about this washer and dryer.
That is incorrect. When I gave her that check, which was dated May 20th of 04, we had discussed it. She actually wanted to purchase the washer and dryer fully. She wanted to give me payments per month. And I told her that since we were becoming good friends, I did not want the only conversation to be between us about the washer and dryer.
At that time, Mr. Marquez, did you believe that the friendship would rekindle into a relationship?
No. Actually, when we first broke up, I did...
Mr. Marquez, don't insult my intelligence.
Sorry, Your Honor.
You don't go from being lovers to friends without somebody hoping for a little bit more.
That is correct.
Oh.
Yes.
So during that time, and during the time, according to you, she said, why don't you let me make payments on it? You said, no.
Correct.
And now you have a new girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
You moving into an apartment together?
We have currently moved into an apartment as of the 9th of April.
And I assume it doesn't have a washer and dryer.
Actually, it does. After this little skirmish between me and my ex-girlfriend, my current girlfriend went out and purchased one, hoping it would make me feel a little bit better.
Did it?
I was very, very pleased that she would show that much friendship towards me. But I wasn't very angry about the washer and dryer. I was angry at the fact that she took me for granted that I was being nice and letting her borrow the washer and dryer when I could have just put them in my storage.
Get over it. There is something that doesn't ring true, sir, about your story that you told her more than a year ago, that I'm letting you use this piece of equipment that breaks down, that once it's used, it becomes less functional. I'm going to let you use that for as long as it takes. And it just so happens that the time that you want it back is when you're moving in with a new girlfriend. By the way, whose washer and dryer is the new one that was purchased?
It is hers.
I just want her to hear that.
Yes, I've told her that many times.
Very good. And you know whose this is?
Yes.
Hers. Thank you. That's all. Have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 12 on the calendar in the matter of A+ Limousine Services versus Rory. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, folks.
What is your name, sir?
Genaro Araujo.
Slower.
Genaro Araujo.
Spell it.
A-R-A-U-J-O.
Mr. Araujo.
There you go.
Close enough. Are you the owner of A+ Limousine?
I'm part owner, ma'am.
How long have you been in business?
5 years.
How many limousines do you have?
3.
Do you drive as well?
Yes.
In the 5 years that you've had your business, sir, how many times have you sued clients?
This is first time.
Mr. Rory leased one of your cars for an evening. He wanted to celebrate his...
birthday.
A national holiday. What national holiday was it, Mr. Rory?
It was my 35th.
You look older. And who are you celebrating with, sir?
Friends, family.
How many friends and how many family?
About 40 or so.
And how many people did you put in this limousine?
About 20 at a time.
What do you mean 20 at a time?
They picked up from one location, dropped us off, went back, picked up another group.
Were you driving that night?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
Tell me what kind of damage you allege that they caused your vehicle.
They used this fun streamer can, and it was all over the car. Normally, it's not a problem to get off the carpets, the door paneling, and that such things, but on vinyl, it adheres to it and it crusts up and it doesn't come off.
Well, what do you mean normally it's not a problem? I don't understand that, sir.
Off of carpeting and door panels, you just peel it right off. It comes right off like hair. But on the vinyl itself, it actually sticks to it and it crusts up and it doesn't come off. And we needed to get it detailed, and it took about 5 hours of cleaning to finally get most of it off. But it still left stains. I have some pictures to show if you...
Now, you were driving that night.
Yes, I was.
By the way, I read your answer. You don't deny that you bought this stuff and you used it in the car.
Yes.
Could you explain to me, just for my own edification, why would a 35-year-old man do that?
It's fun, and if you had silly string shot at you, it's kind of exciting, I guess, so it made it fun.
I have a couple of my sons visiting me today, you know, and they're about your age. One of them's a couple of years older, but we won't go there. And I cannot imagine them renting a limousine with their friends and using silly string. Mr. Rory. I mean, I can imagine them going from one place to another, I can imagine them having some beers in the back of a car, but I can't imagine them using silly string, this stuff. I mean, my grandchildren use that.
We like to have fun.
If you consider that fun. So where were you shooting it?
Oh, at each other, you know, typically.
Were you making a big mess?
There was a mess when it was over, yes.
Well, who was supposed to clean up that mess?
Well, Gennaro?
Oh, Mr. Rory, no, I'm being serious with you, sir. You commissioned A1 Limousine to take you and friends from one place to another. Where did it say that they provided domestic services for you to clean up after your crap?
Well, we've rented limos
Show me.
Many times.
Show me.
We've never cleaned up after ourselves on any cars we've ever rented. That's why we pay $800 to rent a car.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
Normally, we clean up beer bottles, bottle caps, empty cans, napkins. That kind of stuff is not a problem. We never have the client clean up after himself. That's normal.
Well, that's nice of you, because they're drinking a beer, they leave it in the car. I assume that your limousine has places for drinks.
Yes.
Because that's what people do in limousines.
Yes.
You know, they have a drink. That's why they hire a limousine sometimes, so that they can get from one place to another drunk. And they're not driving. Well, but that's what people do. They want to act like idiots, so they hire somebody else to drive so that they can be safe. That's reasonable. What I don't understand, Mr. Rory, is this stuff and being a real pig and expecting somebody else to clean up after you.
Well, we've rented limos in the past. We've used it in the past. We've never had anybody charge us any cleaning fee, certainly not the amount he's trying to charge, $350 for somebody to clean it. I had asked for pictures of, you know, the stuff that he couldn't get cleaned off several times.
Do you have those?
I actually took pictures before the cleanup.
Well, let me see what it looked like.
These are some pictures before. After that, I did inform Mr. Rory that he was more than welcome to come by before Thursday. This happened on Saturday night, and Thursday we had another service booked already. So I emailed him and told him that he was more than welcome to come by and look at it for himself before it was cleaned, but I really didn't have the time to be running back and forth taking pictures for his benefit.
Is that right, Mr. Rory?
I emailed him requesting pictures after he sent me those pictures of the stuff that didn't get cleaned up. I asked to come see the limo as well.
Do you have a bill for the detailing service?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. Who detailed for you?
It's a car wash in San Diego.
Is this a Hummer?
It's a Hummer limousine, yes, ma'am.
H2 limousine.
Yes.
Interior detailed, foreign compound removal, $345.
On Wednesday the 9th, he said that I could come over by Thursday to come take a look at the car.
Yes.
He emailed me again on Wednesday night saying that he'd got the car cleaned, and he booked it again, so I couldn't come see it because it was already clean. So, to me...
I have to take his word for it that it was a mess.
Oh, I'm sure it was a mess, but it was something that just vacuumed dried up. We had the stuff all over our car, inside our house. I mean, it's like paper. It doesn't stain.
Your Honor, the can does say, do not spray on vinyl as it will leave a stain on certain types of vinyl.
My question to you, sir, is you saw them using this.
No, I did not, ma'am.
You didn't?
No, there's a partition between the driver and the cab in the back. And normally what will happen is when I pick someone up and I...
No, don't tell me what normally. So you're telling me you didn't see this disaster until they left the cab?
Until they were exiting the vehicle.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What did you find when you took apart the radio?
There was silly string mounted onto the laser.
Oh, that's a mystery. I mean...
You think that I'm smart enough to unravel this mystery?
And later today...
So not only did you sell the car to a minor, you sold it and took advantage of him.
Well, I made a lot of repairs and
I don't care whether you made a lot of repairs or whether you...
Raho says former client Darren Rury ruined the interior of his limo with silly string.
Who was this?
That is the person that installed the new stereo, because also I'm not sure how, but silly string got inside the stereo. We believe it was either on a CD that they loaded and it damaged the stereo also, so that's part of what we're suing for also. We had to replace it. He's the gentleman, works for Big Boy Car Audio in San Diego, and he's the one that installed this new stereo.
Tell me your name, sir.
David Martinez.
Mr. Martinez, are you related to the plaintiff in any way?
No, I am not.
Have you had business dealings with him before?
Yes, I have.
How many times have you done jobs for the plaintiff?
Just 2 times.
Okay, and the second time had to do with this audio system?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about what you found.
I pulled the deck out, which is the radio. It was...
Why did you bring the car and to check out the radio?
Because the radio part works on it, the AM/FM radio part, but when you try and load a CD, it spits it back out.
Okay, so it wasn't working.
It wasn't working properly, no.
Had it been working prior to Mr. Rory and company occupying the Hummer?
Yes, actually, when they got on, his girlfriend Bambi brought along some CDs, and I showed her how to use it.
Is that right, Bambi?
Yes.
And it worked fine?
It worked fine.
Is that your real name?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, and at the end of the night, when I picked up the final group that was going to be leaving, Bambi and Darren were in the group, and I was holding their CDs for them so they wouldn't get lost. So she asked for them back. When I gave it to her, she went in the back and she told me there was a problem. And I thought she just didn't know how to use it, so I went back to show her again, and that's when I noticed you put it in, it spit it back out, put it in, throw it back out, and it wouldn't play properly.
Got it. Is that right, Bambi?
That's right.
Good. So far, she's a wonderful witness for you. What did you find when you took apart the radio?
There was silly string mounted onto the laser, so it wasn't reading.
Darren, how do you think that happened?
Well, that's a mystery. I mean...
Just a second. That's a mystery. You think that I'm smart enough to unravel this mystery?
You probably are, but the CD player was working fine when we got out of the car, we went into a club, we gave him the CD so nobody would use it or anything.
Listen to me. Bambi said it wasn't working.
It was working
prior
to it.
Prior.
And then we got out of the club, we get the CDs back, and they don't
Listen to me, Darren.
Sure.
I want you to try to put on your thinking cap, Darren. You and Bambi got into the car, and she put in the CDs, and they worked just fine. At the end of the evening, this is the fact, the CD wasn't working. Right, Bambi?
When we got back into the car.
It wasn't working.
We went to put a CD back in there.
At the end of the evening, it wasn't working.
Right.
Mr.
Martinez
says that what he found in the CD changer was...
silly string.
Silly string. Figure that out, Darren.
We didn't have silly string on our CDs.
No,
to
but
me,
maybe somebody...
it's convenient
watched.
excuse, but I don't think so.
Listen to me. Everybody was drinking. Looks to me as if a lot of people were drinking. Maybe somebody thought it'd be funny to put silly string in the stereo system. Do you have something you want me to look at, Darren? You got a lot of...
No, I have a lot of photographs of our mess, but...
of your what?
Of our mess in the car that he had sent us, but... But he never showed me any of the silly string that was inside the stereo. So,
I have to believe Mr. Martinez. Yeah. Darren, I want you to look at Mr. Martinez. Do you think Mr. Martinez is lying about what he found in the stereo?
I don't know.
Darren.
Probably.
Darren, and you were 3 sheets to the wind, and probably so was Miss Bambi. How much did you charge him for fixing the stereo?
I charged him $45 to remove the stereo and install another one because it couldn't be repaired. We had to replace the laser, and it's going to cost more than what the stereo costed.
So how much was it?
We actually tried to get the same stereo over the internet, but it's a discontinued model, so we ended up buying a different one that cost $168.95 plus the installation fee.
Well, that's all together, that's $603. That's with the detailing and his bill and the bill for the new stereo. So explain to me, sir, why you're suing for $1,158?
Because even after it was cleaned off, it did leave a stain like the can says it would. I have some pictures of that, if you'd like to see them. And
I didn't think you had pictures of that, the stain.
I did.
Oh, let me see.
Actually, there's a few pictures. Some of these might be repeats, but it didn't come off completely. It left residue. And the only way to fix that is to have it upholstered again. And I have an estimate for that also.
Whoa. That's a mess that you made, sir. Did you take a look?
No, he wouldn't give me those pictures.
Well, I'm going to give you the picture, sir. Here you go.
And if you actually total up the... Sorry, ma'am.
If you actually total up, it's more than what you're suing for.
Correct.
You see, Darren, look at me, Darren, you're not a bad guy. You know, sometimes I have bad guys, and sometimes I have just guys that are not bad, but just limited. You're not one of the bad guys.
Limo company owner Genaro Araujo says former client Darren Ruri ruined the interior of his limo with silly string.
I'm giving you as a given that you and your guests caused this damage to the vinyl, that you and your guests caused another CD changer to have to be installed, that you and your guests caused the car to have to be detailed after you finished with your night of partying. I want you to accept that as a given. Whose responsibility do you think it is?
Well, I hate to say it's mine, but if I have to.
See, I knew you weren't a bad guy. Got a nice smile. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He approached me saying that he had my credit card and he was going to charge me $350, so that got my attention.
I was actually amazed at how dirty it actually was. I never expected to see something like that.
People were celebrating and shot the strings, and then from there we went into the bar.
I'm just glad that Judge Judy saw it our way.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Costin, Lutka versus Green. Step forward.
Tina Karsten and her son, 16-year-old Keith Lutker, are suing 22-year-old Adam Green for a refund on a 1988 Honda CRX. Tina says Adam sold the car to her minor son without her permission.
Keith, is that your mom?
Yes, this is.
You wanted a car. You saw a car that Mr. Green was selling,
Yes, ma'am.
and despite the fact that you were told, don't buy the car till we see it, you got the money. Where did you get the money from?
I previously had the money from a car that I was going to buy down in Pacific, Missouri, but the guy was a no-show, so I kept the money in my drawer in case he called me back.
When had you taken the money out?
Around February 20th.
And where did you take the money from? Your savings account?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you went over to Mr. Green. How much money did you ultimately give him for the car?
$2,400.
What kind of car was it, Mr. Green?
It was a 88 Honda CRX.
How long have you had the car?
Probably about 5 years.
Who did you buy it from?
Private owner.
When you bought the car, who did you go with to buy the car?
My parents.
And you went with your parents because?
I was 16 or 17 at the time. I couldn't remember exactly.
And so you had to be with your parents?
Correct.
Right. And do you know why that is, Mr. Green?
Because I was a minor.
Right. And do you know what he is?
A minor.
So when he told you he wanted his money back because his parents hit the roof, that he took his $2,400 and gave it to you, what did you say?
I said I couldn't refund it. I sold him the car as is without a refund.
Don't you understand what you just said to me? You just said to me that you understood that when you bought this car 5 years ago, you were 16 or 17, you had to go with your parents because you were a minor, because you couldn't enter into a contract. He's 16 years old. You have no defense to this case, sir. Well is not an answer. How much did you pay for the car 5 years ago?
$5,500.
Well, getting $2,400 is a pretty good return on your money after you used the car for 5 years. What's the book value of the car?
Book value was
very easy to figure out. So what's the book value of the car?
probably around $1,100.
So not only did you sell the car to a minor, you sold it and took advantage of him.
Well, I made a lot of repairs and
I don't care whether you made a
modifications.
lot of repairs or whether you outfitted the car for the Queen of England. If the book value of the car is $1,100 and you found a 16-year-old sucker to buy it for $2,400, you got a lot of nerve.
He made me that offer, ma'am.
You got a lot of nerve, sir. You are a little amoral. It means that while you are aware of the fact that you couldn't enter into a contract, you forced them to bring a lawsuit against you to get their money back. What do you do for a living?
I'm a salesman
For whom?
for a retail electronics store.
Where?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Do you tell people the truth when you're selling them a product?
Yes, I do.
Did you tell him the truth about this car?
I told him every problem that it had with
Did you
it.
tell him that the book value of the car was $1,100?
No, ma'am.
If a customer came into your store and said, I want to buy that television set, and I really like that television set, and I'm going to give you $500 for it, and the television set sells for $250, would you sell it to them for $500?
No, ma'am.
Why not? Because it's dishonest. Dishonest. You would be taking advantage of somebody who wasn't either wrapped too tight or who was a minor, who didn't know their way around. You don't want to grow up to be a dishonest person, do you, Mr. Green?
No, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,400. That's all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. 7 on the calendar in the matter of Fennell versus Campbell.
Thank you, Bertie.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
All right, Miss Fennell. This is your old boyfriend.
Correct.
This is, according to your complaint, probably Carlos.
That's Carlos, correct.
New boyfriend.
Old boyfriend also.
Old boyfriend.
Correct.
You don't stand still too long. Who is this?
This is my fiance, Tiffany.
She's just here for moral support?
Mm-hmm.
Because she brought the old boyfriend, you brought the Tiffany.
Right.
Got it. Miss Fennell, according to your complaint, this gentleman, with whom you had a relationship for a while, became annoyed when he found out that you were with Carlos, and he vandalized your car. Mr. Campbell says he was in fact annoyed, but he didn't do any damage to your car. When were you and Mr. Campbell involved in a relationship?
We started, actually I met him June of 2003.
When did you and Mr. Campbell terminate your relationship?
November of 2003.
And when did this incident happen with your car?
In March of 2004.
Well, tell me what happened in March of 2004.
Carlos had come to visit me at Ohio University.
Carlos?
Carlos had come to visit
How long had you been dating Carlos?
I started dating him in December of 2003, very soon after ending the relationship with Clifton. So he had come to visit me at the university, and we just come in from a movie. It may have been about 1:30 in the morning. This is March 13th. I hear this banging on my door, and so, you know, it was kind of unusual.
Were you in a dorm room?
Yes, I am in a dorm room, or I was then. And so it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so, you know, I'm not expecting anybody. So I go to the peephole, and I see that it's him. Like, we've had history in our relationships of just different violence and him threatening me and stuff like that. And so prior to him coming, he had been trying to call me, and I wasn't answering the phone. So he had been leaving messages on my voicemail just threatening.
I mean, he just decided to come out of the blue? He hadn't been in touch with him, really? Since November of 2003, all of a sudden in March of 2004, he shows up?
We've been in contact sporadically, not very much. He was just calling. We kept in contact via email.
But you hadn't been dating?
We hadn't been dating.
Anyway, he comes, it's 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, bangs at the door, you don't answer the door, what happens next?
Carlos is there. Carlos wants to answer the door, and he and Cliff had just a few words. It wasn't a big episode like I thought it would be. And afterwards, he walked.
Did you say anything to Mr. Campbell?
No, I didn't.
Okay. What happened next?
Once he left the dorm room, I went to my dorm window because I know what he's capable of. And so when I looked out the window, I saw him kicking my car and walking away.
Did you call the police?
I did.
That same day?
That same evening.
You have a police report?
I do.
I see it, please.
There's some pictures.
What kind of sneakers are you wearing?
Lugs.
Lugs?
Yes.
Is that who makes them, Lugs?
Yes.
Is that what you usually wear?
Yes.
Huh. All right, Mr. Campbell, let me hear what you have to say, sir.
For one, we were not just boyfriend, girlfriend. That was my fiance. We had got engaged on March 9th.
Tell me about that, Mr. Campbell.
Well, basically, I had came to Ohio University on March 9th, I remember, because that's my little brother's birthday. I had proposed to Tamar. She had said yes.
Did you give her a ring?
Yes.
Does she still have the ring, or did you take it back?
No, I didn't take it back. I'm not sure if she still has it or not.
What kind of ring did you buy her?
Gold ring with, like, I don't know how many carats, diamonds in it.
How much did you pay for it?
It was like 1,700.
And you didn't ask for it back?
No.
Did he give you a ring?
He gave me a ring, but...
Remember when?
I don't believe it was March 9th. I think it was the week before then, the last week in February. He did give me a ring.
So that you were still not only communicating with Mr. Campbell on the internet by email, but just a few weeks before you had actually seen him.
We weren't seeing each other.
You had actually seen him, I said.
I had seen him, yes.
How long did you stay when you came to visit her, Mr. Campbell?
I had spent the night with her March 9th, and I left on March 10th.
So when you came back on March 13th, because she wasn't answering her phone, and
Well, she did answer the phone.
Oh, she did?
One time.
And what did she say?
I heard a guy in the back, which I presume was probably whatever his name is.
Carlos.
Carlos. She just wasn't acting herself. Normally, she's real uppity and giddy when we're talking on the phone. And it sounded like she was trying to hide something and was rushing me off the phone.
So you became
Suspicious.
and you got in the car, and how long a drive is it to the school?
It's about 3.5 to 4 hours.
And while you were driving, did you try to call her again?
Yes.
How many times?
Probably 4 or 5.
So by the time you got there, you were really pretty annoyed.
I was...
Sure, just, so far you've been honest with me. Do you understand?
Yeah, I
So
understand.
far you've been together,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been honest,
Right.
right?
Right.
That doesn't mean you're going to get away with denting her car. I want you to trust me on this, Mr. Campbell. But I like the fact that you've been honest. So
Right.
I'm not going to stomp on your head. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Very good. Now, second ex-boyfriend answers the door, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
What do you do?
First, I'm just dumbfounded. It's like, this is my fiance, and this dude is answering the door trying to look like he was all tough or something.
So what do you think was going on there? You think he was delivering a vacuum cleaner?
Not at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I know you're a telemarketer, but only I get the last word. You know the people that say, goodbye, don't call me again? That's me.
And later today,
Listen to me. You cannot unilaterally modify a contract. You know what that means? No.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tamara Fennell claims ex-fiancé Clifton Campbell kicked her car after discovering she had a new boyfriend. Clifton is denying the charge.
So what did you do?
Well, basically, me and him had a few words, and then I was just like, F it, y'all can have each other, and I left.
But when you left, you kicked her car.
No, I didn't.
Well, maybe you were just so angry you don't remember, Mr.
No,
Campbell.
maybe he was also angry.
He was.
That was her
No.
boyfriend?
No. You know why, sir? Because the two of them called the police together immediately after you left. And the police went downstairs and looked at her car, which was very dirty. But the one thing that they did find were fresh sneaker prints on the car. Reeboks and dents where the footprint went into the door. Now, quite frankly, I can understand you being really annoyed. She clearly doesn't make up her mind well, but she's entitled to do that. She's entitled to play the field if she wants to. Not entitled to going around breaking people's hearts. That's really unkind.
I would like to explain if I can.
Go ahead.
Okay. One thing that he did say was that was my boyfriend, and Cliff was aware that Carlos and I were dating.
She told me it was some dumb dude she get money from. That's all she told me about
Oh
him.
no, I never
Just a
said
second.
that.
Okay. So,
When we broke up, it was on these crazy terms. I had been through just a lot of things with him, as far as him threatening my life, different situations where he held me at knife point, just a lot of violent situations where I felt like if I was going to ever have a situation that was going to be calm with Cliff, I pretty much had to tell him what he wanted to hear.
She's lying.
she's lying, Mr. Campbell. She's lying because she didn't tell me all of this stuff when it was her turn. And she says a lot of things in here, that she witnessed you stab somebody during spring break. She witnessed you burn down somebody's home, which is why she knew that you were violent and she wasn't going to subject herself to that. She wasn't. She didn't
I don't
play
think
it
I would
nicely.
be. I don't think I would be out right now if I stabbed somebody and burned down their home.
Listen to me, Mr. Campbell. I think that you were pretty fortunate that you have a new fiancé. You get along pretty well together?
We get along great.
What do you do for a living, sir?
Right now, telemarketing.
Do you work?
Yes, ma'am.
You planning on getting married?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, very good. Miss Fennell, what year car do you have?
A 94.
1994 what?
Honda Accord EX.
And did you get an estimate on taking out the dents?
I did.
Let me take a look at the picture. I see a dent near a door. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can pull out the dents in that car. The paint isn't off.
The paint's off.
Car's 10 years old. Is it just off in that spot?
Excuse me, Judge.
It's only in that spot.
She told me one night around Christmas that she had got drunk and got in a wreck and dented her car up.
Listen to me. The police noted the damage on March 13th, sir. I'm not believing her. I'm saying the police noted the damage.
I understand that.
Oh,
but if she
good.
was messing with two different guys at the time, how do I know it was in the third or fourth that got off and did that
Just
to
a
her
second.
car?
You don't have to. Only I have to know, Mr. Campbell. And there may have been somebody else that gave her car a good clop. But so did you, on your way out.
No, I didn't.
I'm telling you that I believe that you did. You had the
I
opportunity,
didn't.
you had the inclination, and you certainly, Mr. Campbell, had the motive.
But I didn't.
Don't say it again. There's only one person who gets the last word, and that's me. Do you understand? Only me. I know you're a telemarketer, but only I get the last word. You know the people that say, goodbye, don't call me again? That's me.
Tamara Fennell claims ex-fiancé Clifton Campbell kicked her car after discovering she had a new boyfriend. Clifton is denying the charge.
You get a ding doctor to pull out the dings that he did on your now almost 12-year-old car, not for $1,700, which is more than the car is worth, but for $500. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Don't play with people's hearts, Miss Fennell. Sometimes you're going to get burned. This time it was just your car. Next time it may be another part of you. That's
Parties
all.
are excused. You may step out.
I believe it was when she heard that I was engaged to a new female, she just went on ahead and decided to try her best to do something to get back at me.
Oh, no. He wasn't even with anybody else at that time. Like he said, he had just proposed to me. So, no, I wasn't upset at all.
I wouldn't mind getting the ring back. That's a lot of money.
He told me to pawn it. It definitely wasn't a $1,700 ring. I think it was something that he might have stole from his grandmother's jewelry box.
I believe she played games to the fullest.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ford versus Tarrant. Step forward, please.
Barber Glenn Ford is suing his former lover, office technician Elizabeth Tarrant, for the balance on a 1988 Toyota Celica he bought for her daughter.
Mr. Ford, it is your claim that Miss Tarrant, with whom you were briefly involved, owes you money for a car that you purchased for her daughter and for impound fees later when the car was impounded because her daughter didn't have a driver's license. Ms. Tarrant indicates that both of those things were gifts and you did not seek any money until after she decided she no longer wanted to be involved in a committed relationship with you. Is that what this case is about?
Yes.
Fine. Where is the car now?
The car is in front of my house now.
You have not sought to have the car returned to you, have you?
No.
Smart lady. Mr. Ford, can you explain to me why this is a relatively new purchase? According to your complaint, the car was purchased for her daughter sometime in February, correct?
In March.
So it was driven by her for a relatively short period of time. Why don't you just sell it?
The reason why I don't want to sell it, because I'm really not in this business of selling car. I had purchased the car for Elizabeth because she needed a car for her daughter. And it was an understanding, a mutual understanding between us two, and a contract that we had, which she didn't sign.
Well, then I'm not interested in it, sir. My question to you is a very practical one. This is a relationship that clearly was not going anywhere. The only nexus tie that you had to each other was this car. You got the car back, and I understand that you're not in the car business, but I don't know what your losses are.
Well, the car was impound, and she had agreed to pay me for the impound fees. I had to get the car out of impound, and the only way that I was able to get the car out of impound was that her daughter had to have a driver's license, so they could release the car to me from out of impound. I took her daughter to get a driver's license, and she had a driver's license, and I went to pick up the car from the impound. I incurred losses there. Now, she agreed that she would pay for these losses that had occurred.
You mean for the impound fees?
For the impound, yes.
That's not unreasonable. What do you do for a living, Mr. Ford?
I'm a barber.
Is it your own business?
Yes, it is.
Then you're a businessman, Mr. Ford, and you appear to be an intelligent person. You may not know a lot about cars. I don't know a lot about cars either. But I know that if I had a piece of property in my possession, in this case a car, and I had the title to it, which you do at this point because she signed it over to you, before I would bring her to court, I would put an ad in the paper, a sign in the window, and I would say I'm going to sell this car and see what I get for it. And then you won't be out any money unless you just wanted to bust her chops. So, Mr. Ford, before you come to court, go sell the car and see if you come up with a shortfall on the money you laid out. Do we understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, it's case number 162 on the calendar in the matter of LaPearl versus Morgan. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss LaPearl, you rented an apartment to Miss Morgan. She was your tenant for a little over a year.
Yes.
According to your complaint, she gave you a 30-day notice. She moved out, and you want her to pay for all of your expenses that you incurred in finding a new tenant, and also damages to the apartment that you claim that she did before she moved out, and rent. Miss Morgan says that she gave you 30 days notice, that she left the apartment in fine condition, and she is counterclaiming because she says you filed charges against her for either burglary or trespass, and they were false charges. You never appeared at the hearing when she was forced to appear. I think she had to come back from Europe in order to appear, and she wants you to pay her expenses. Now, when you first rented to her, did you have her sign a lease?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. What kind of premises is this, Miss LaPearl?
It's a two-family house.
Okay. Who printed up this lease?
This is a pre-made lease.
Well, somebody typed in these things.
I have a secretary that does that for me.
Okay.
And in the back it says...
Just a second. All right. She signed this lease on...
October 1st.
October 1st, 2003, and the lease was for 12 months.
No, the first time it was 10 months. It was from October till the end of July.
Okay,
of
10 months.
2004, yes.
10 months. And then you typed in, or your secretary typed in,
yes,
this lease will automatically renew for an additional 12 months unless you notify each other 30 days. That's illegal. You can't do that. You can't do that. I know you would like to do that, but you can't do that. At the end of the lease, if you don't choose to renew it, the tenant becomes a month-to-month tenant.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I hear
Good.
what you're saying.
Perfect. Now, when did she move in?
October 1st of 2003.
And she lived there for how long?
She lived there from October 2003 until March of 2005.
Had she paid her rent on time?
Yes, she did.
Had you ever had occasion to try to have her evicted for any reason?
No.
What happened in March of 2005?
I was in Israel visiting my mom, and when on my return I found out that Miss Morgan entered my house without permission, without anybody being in there, opened the porch door, proceeded to the kitchen to leave a letter in my house, which my daughter found out. This is my daughter.
What did the letter say?
The letter basically said that she's giving me 30 days notice.
Okay. Step up. Your last name is?
LaPearl.
How old are you?
18.
Were you at home when your mother was in Israel?
I was not. I was also away. I was in Mexico.
Who was home?
Well, the thing that happened was that I was supposed to come home the day before, but due to a snowstorm, I couldn't come home. And my dog needed to be feeded. So I called my neighbor and asked her to unlock the house.
Who's the neighbor?
My friend Sarah.
So your friend Sarah was telephoned on what day?
On February 28th.
Well, who was taking care of your dog while you were in Mexico?
My brother, but he had to work that day, and it was an unplanned.
When did you get home?
I arrived home that same day that I'd asked my neighbor to come and feed my dog.
Okay. Now, what did you find, Miss LaPearl, when you came home? Something on the table?
Yes.
What did you find on the table?
I found a letter addressed to my mother.
Everything else was in place?
It seemed that way, Your Honor.
Now, when you found this letter, did you open it?
Yes.
And what did the letter say?
It was a letter from Miss Morgan saying
Yeah.
that she had left 30 days notice and that she had stopped by and left this letter in our home.
It said she stopped by and left the letter in your home? Is that what the letter said? Give me see the letter.
No, that's not what the letter said. The
Then
letter
I'll
said-
see the letter. No, of course it didn't say she stopped by and left the letter in your home. This letter is dated February 28, 2005, and it says, Sierra, this is to notify you that I will be returning to you the keys of the house at 22 Bright Street, first floor, on the 31st of March. Thank you, Laura Morgan. I am bringing this letter in person to you just to make sure you get it on time on the 28th of February. And it's signed you. Okay. Now, Miss Morgan, when you got to the house on February 28th, there was no one home?
Your Honor, there was no one home.
Okay, so what did you do?
I didn't leave it on the table. I opened the porch, and there was a dog.
Is it an enclosed porch?
Yes, it is an enclosed porch.
I see.
And there was a dog there. So I very be careful because I didn't want the dog to get into the house. And I just slide my hand, and I put the letter right on the side, on the chair. I didn't put a feet in the house.
I don't care whether you did or whether
Yes.
you didn't.
Oh, I just put the
I'd
letter.
listen to me. I don't
Yes.
care whether you did or whether you didn't. So you put the letter inside the house.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
So now you've got your 30 days notice, Miss LaPearl.
Yes.
You're not entitled to any more than that. She's a month-to-month tenant. I don't care what you put in the lease, it's illegal. So what are you suing her for?
First, I was suing her for 1 month rent.
She gave you 30 days notice.
You know, Your Honor, she was the one that said, well, you know, I like this list because it's automatically renews, and she liked that.
Good. Fine.
Well,
She
it
gave you
doesn't
30
work.
days notice. Get over it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're full of baloney. It was vindictive. You were not violated in any way. Put your hand down. Outrageous. You are an outrageous lady.
And later today,
Where is there anything sharp here, sir?
Drop. I was carrying it and she grabbed it from its legs.
I
to grab
see. So
me
she
inside.
was pulling it back.
Oh my God, how ridiculous.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Leora LaPearl claims former tenant Laura Morgan owes for breaking a lease, damaging her apartment, and leaving behind trash. Laura is countersuing for a false police report.
Keep going.
Miss Morgan was smoking in the apartment. The apartment smelled like an ashtray. I have witnesses. My daughter was there to help me clean it. For 1 month, I was trying to get the smell out of the place, and I couldn't. It took us 3 times to shampoo the rugs and clean the walls to get rid of the smell. Beside that, I'm suing for stealing things from the basement. I had a whole set of garden tools. I had dishes in there, trays.
What makes you think that Miss Morgan took those things?
I have little incidents with this woman that make me feel like she's a totally dishonest person, you know.
Oh, stop it.
Okay.
Stop it.
I didn't see
Do you
it.
have any proof that she took anything from your house?
No.
All right.
No, but I have proof to show that she left trash in the basement.
All right, let me see your proof that she left trash in the basement.
When she moved from France, she had boxes and boxes and boxes of things that she brought, and all of it was in the basement. You know, she was doing some kind of artwork. She had some sculptures.
Okay, so you
material
had to either do or get somebody to remove these boxes.
Yes.
All right, so that's what you're talking about, the boxes.
The boxes and the trash. She left their empty bottles, plastic bottles, whatever.
So you had to get somebody,
Yes.
or you did yourself, get the bottles and the boxes out of the basement.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay,
I
good.
did
And how
get
much
them.
did that cost you?
$300.
Let me see the bill.
It's also for dumping fee.
When did you move out?
I moved out. It was on the 31st of March.
31st of March. This purported bill, which I question,
Yes.
is dated June 7th.
Yes.
You mean you let the stuff stay there until June?
Yes.
I don't believe you, Miss LaPearl. I don't know what you have a bee in your bonnet about. I want to know when you call. She has a counterclaim. And her counterclaim is that you filed these charges against her, which caused her to have, at least for the moment, a criminal record of trespass. I assume that you filed trespass. You have a police report that you filed? I'd like to see it.
Yes, I did. I think this is the one.
When did you file this complaint? When did you return from...
As soon as I found out about it, and I didn't find it right away because...
Just a second.
Okay.
When did you return from Israel?
I think it was March that I returned, the beginning of March.
When did you have a conversation with your mother about this letter?
When she returned from Israel.
Okay, so she returned shortly thereafter from Israel?
Yes.
And tell me about the conversation that you had with your mother when you gave her the letter.
I had just told her that when I came home that the letter was inside of the house, and I...
Did you tell her where you found it in the house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you tell her you found it in the house?
I found it on the kitchen table.
Now, who had you spoken to about the letter prior to telling your mother?
Nobody, Your Honor.
You spoke to nobody about the letter. Just listen to me very carefully. You spoke to nobody about the letter prior to telling your mother that you found it on the table. Is that what you're telling me?
I believe so, Your Honor.
That's what you're telling me.
Yes.
Now, after you had this conversation with your daughter,
yes,
did you discuss the letter with anyone?
Yes, I did.
Who?
Miss Morgan's friend, Rosa, the lady that brought her into the house, drove her into the house.
Just a second. Nobody could drive a car into your house.
Into the driveway, obviously.
Did you have a conversation with anyone else?
Not that I remember.
Then you went to the police and filed a criminal complaint.
Yes. A breaking of an entrance. Somebody violating my rights, breaking into my house, yes.
Listen to me very carefully.
Yes.
Maybe it was the neighbor who found the letter and put it on the kitchen table, who was there to feed your dog. Maybe it was your son who found the letter, who was feeding the dog on a regular basis while your daughter was in Mexico, who found the letter on the chair and put it on the kitchen table. You did not speak to either of the two people who had permission and authority to be in your house that day, who could very well have picked up this letter from where she says she left it and put it on the kitchen table. You didn't speak to those people. What you chose to do, despite the fact that you found, Miss LaPearl, nothing untoward in your house, nothing, that your daughter found nothing untoward in your house. The only thing she found was this letter,
yes,
giving you 30 days notice on February 28th because you were in Israel, your daughter was in Mexico, and she was trying to do the right thing. You went and you had a tenant who lived there for a very long time that you had no trouble with, according to you. You decided to go and file a criminal complaint against her.
I felt totally violated.
Oh, how did you feel? Did you feel violated when your daughter said, listen to me, you're full of baloney.
No,
did
no,
you
no.
feel violated when your daughter told you that she had another stranger come into your house to feed your dog? Is not an answer. I want to tell you something, madam.
Yes.
You're full of baloney. You filed this complaint in the criminal courthouse April 4th. That's the date stamped on the criminal court complaint, which was 1 month later, after you came home. 1 month. And all it says in this criminal complaint was, if I can read it, breaking and entering.
Entering into my house.
I want to tell you something. You're responsible for whatever damages she incurred as a result of your filing this ridiculous complaint. It was vindictive. You were not violated in any way. And it's in all probability somebody who had permission to be in your house picked up the letter and put it on the kitchen table. Put your hand down. Outrageous. You are an outrageous lady. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $1,000. Your claim is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you. I'm very thankful to Judge Judy.
I'm happy to get rid of her, so it's fine.
Miss Morgan had actually admitted to actually entering our house.
Her telling me that I broke an entry when I just gave her a month's notice is totally unfair and ridiculous.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Schaefer versus Jack. Step forward.
James Schaefer, a friend of both litigants from the previous case, is suing Barbara Jack for the cost to bail her son out of jail. Barbara says she's not paying.
Who are you?
Me, Jeanette Schaefer.
How are you related to him?
I'm his mother.
I already know who you are. All right. Mr. Schaefer, you are a friend of this gentleman over here.
Yes.
He got himself arrested again.
Yep.
According to your complaint, his mother called and said he totally tapped her out. She had no more money. And according to you, she asked you if you would bail her son out of jail.
That's correct.
You did, and you want her to pay you back.
Yeah.
And Miss Jack says he's a big boy, let him pay his own bail.
That's correct.
Tell him to stand up over there. I don't want to speak to him yet. Mr. Quast, what were you arrested for, sir, this time?
OWI.
What's an OWI?
Operating while intoxicated.
Operating on whom?
I was driving a motor vehicle.
Did you have a license?
Nope.
So what were you driving a car for?
I was actually up north working.
Well, you couldn't have been working and drinking at the same time.
Everybody that was working, we all went out to the bar after work.
What car were you driving?
97 Lumina.
Where'd you get that car from?
I was making payments on it.
This
in my
is
mother's name.
yet another car.
Yes.
And that car is also in your mother's name?
Yes.
You don't learn.
I did now. Took me a little while.
Okay, so you got pulled over because you were driving without a license in a car that was not yours, and you had been drinking. And this wasn't the first time you had been pulled over, so they held you. Is that right?
Yes.
And who was the first person that you called?
My mom.
When was this?
The day after Christmas. At about 4 o'clock in the morning, she called me.
And tell me about the conversation that you had.
Basically, she called me and said, guess what my son got into again? She told me that I'd be paid back as soon as possible. I told him to put it on my credit card, and I never received payment.
Can I see the credit card, please?
I don't have the credit card information, but I do have the bail information.
I'd like to see it. Did you go to where your friend was? This was your friend?
Yeah.
Which is why she called you.
Yeah.
Now, the first person that you called, Mr. Quast, was your mother. Tell me about the conversation you had with your mother.
Called her up. I was still feeling pretty good at that time. Told her that I got pulled over. I'm in jail. Bail me out.
And what'd she say?
I'll see what I can do.
And that was it?
That was it.
And what's the next thing that you remember?
Waking up in a 4x8 cell.
How many children do you have?
2. This is my daughter here.
I'll hear you.
Okay. I was contacted by my cousin that morning who woke me up saying Nate had been trying to get a hold of me. He had spoke to several individuals before he got in touch with me. When he called, he asked me for the money. I told him I didn't have any more. I was tapped out. He said, can you call Grandpa? And I said, Grandpa's not going to do it. And he said, call Jimmy. He'll put it on his credit card. Tell him I'll pay him back as soon as I get paid from the Osceola trip. He was up in Osceola, Wisconsin doing a siding job, and that's what he was going to use to pay Jimmy back.
So he said to you, call Jimmy and he'll put it on his credit card.
Yes. So in turn, I did call Jimmy. Jimmy agreed to do it, and he says, but you got to guarantee me we're going to get the money back. I said, well, he's finishing this job. That's what they were up doing. You know, he says he's going to pay you back. He never paid him.
But his agreement wasn't with him. His agreement was with you.
I was the middleman. Nate is the one that
you
said
guaranteed that he would be paid back.
Well, per Nathan, yeah.
You guaranteed that he was going to be paid back. He's the innocent bystander.
I agree, totally. He's an innocent, but I was not the one that should be responsible to pay him. And I think it's time Nate pay his bills.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you, madam. But this is a court. And in the court, I have this young man standing here, and I have you. And between the two of you, you guaranteed that he would be paid back $780. You guaranteed it.
If Nate would have called me, I would have never bailed him out. But his mom called me, and
it was hard to say no.
Yeah.
Just for my own satisfaction, and I want you to be very honest with me, did you at least sell some of the property that...
The only thing I got out of it is that truck that I donated.
Right.
They gave me a $500 tax write-off.
Oh, just a write-off.
Just a write-off. All the furniture, the Cadillac, all that, I still have all that.
You do?
Yeah.
Everything else, listen to me. Sell it. Don't keep it in storage. You have the Cadillac with all the extras that he put on it?
Yep.
Sell it. All the other things that he abandoned? Sell it. He doesn't deserve it. He's got to grow up. But meanwhile, he's got to stop taking advantage of you, and you have to stop letting him take advantage of you, because you're going to get old very fast, and he's not learning a thing. It's time. Sell his property. Meanwhile, you have to pay him $780, so sell the Cadillac.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $780. I hope she listens to me and sells your car.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, it's case number 151 on the calendar in the matter of Clausen versus Harum. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. Harum, while I have a busy day today, and I'm not going to make you leave the courtroom, I'm going to suggest that the next time you appear in court, you are more appropriately dressed. Do we understand each other?
Sorry, Your Honor.
You're not going to a beach party today. Today you come to court. When you come to court, you come appropriately dressed. We understand each other?
Definitely.
Good. Now, Mr. Clausen, you and the defendant have a child together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it is your complaint that when you separated some time ago, you left your television set and entertainment center with Ms. Harum.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want those items back.
Yes, that would
because
be
you
fine.
say you paid for them, and you're still paying for them.
Yes.
Ms. Harum says you left her not only with the child, but with a whole stack of bills, and she paid as many payments as you did on that television set and entertainment center. They don't belong to you, they belong to her. When did the two of you separate, sir?
We separated in January of 2004.
And when was the television purchased?
In September of 2003
And the entertainment center?
as well, at the same time. And the TV stand as well.
You moved out of the house, sir, in January of 2004?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you left the television set and entertainment center there?
Yes, I took everything else that I could, but I did not have a truck to take that.
Well, between January 2004 and June of 2005, I assume that you could have gotten a truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you didn't.
I did. I called the police. She wouldn't let me get it. I called the police and they said...
First time that you asked for it was what date?
A couple days after that, I was like, hey, can I get it back? She said, no. Too bad.
Okay, fine. When did you first file a claim against her in small claims court, which you did in order to initiate this case for the return of your TV and entertainment center?
I have it right here when I went.
What's the date?
The date is 3/15 of 05.
So I'm going to ask you, where were you for 14 months?
Yeah, I'm trying to become a firefighter. And I was going to school 4 or 5 days a week, and I just didn't have any time for that at all. And taking
Well,
care
what
of
are
my
you doing now?
Now I took some time off because we went through a bunch of custody hearings for our child.
One custody hearing.
Shh,
Mediation, meeting lawyers, and everything else.
Just a second. So you took time off for that?
Yes.
And when was the custody case ultimately decided?
3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Give me the date.
May 18th.
Yes, Your Honor.
And at what stage of the proceedings were the custody and visitation and support case in at the time that you filed the small claims court case?
I filed right after that.
Right after what?
After we went to mediation, I filed for small claims court on...
Well, what happened at mediation?
I tried taking it through mediation. She wouldn't have anything to do with it. Her mother said that she would pay me $1,500 for it, but she...
What are you talking about?
May I say something?
Yes.
In mediation, he took my daughter from a family member's house, which happens to be my cousin's mother. He wouldn't let me see my daughter, so I went down and I filed custody papers. They granted me full temporary custody.
When was that?
In March.
In March, and it was right after that that he filed the small claims court case.
That is correct, and it was the day that he was ordered to pay me child support that he served me the papers for the small claims court.
Why?
Excuse me?
I was going to have him tell her. Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
I didn't ask you anything. Now, on what date did you take your daughter from this lady's house?
I'm not sure of the date, Your Honor.
Well, if you're not sure of the date, she is. What was the date?
March 15th.
Yes, madam. You want to get up and say something?
Yes, I do.
You're exploding.
Yes, it was March 23rd.
What was March 23rd?
That the baby was removed from the cousin's house because we had a phone call.
She was
Shh, don't speak.
We had a phone call from a bounty hunter looking for Tiffany. And the bounty hunter stated that he needed to get hold of her and that the guy that they're looking for was a drug dealer. So her family told Justin to go get Kaya. And that's why Justin went and got Kaya.
Her father and her...
Just a second. There was a hearing, ultimately.
Yes,
Is that
Your Honor.
right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the hearing, who was awarded custody?
She was. I did not have any paternity tests.
Have you had one now?
No, the court did not order me one. They
Why
said,
not?
I have no idea. They just said that, okay, well, are you willing to take care of this baby if it is or not yours? I said yes. So therefore, no paternity test still, but I am...
Did you ask for a paternity test?
Yes, Your Honor. And they didn't really do anything about it.
He actually filled out the paperwork and everything.
And
They
the
were
courts-
served to me in court when we had our custody hearing.
Oh, fine. Very good. So right now there has been no legal adjudication of paternity. Is that right? Because you haven't had the paternity test.
Exactly.
Your Honor,
Okay.
they made him sign a paper that said that that he didn't have to take a paternity test, that Basically, when we went to court on May 18th, they were granting him he was the father without the paternity test.
Is that what they did?
Yes.
That was very stupid on your part. Mr. Clausen, I'd always take a paternity test, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
You never can tell.
But that little girl is my whole life. I love her more than anything in the world.
Great. Listen to me. Did you live together?
Yes, Your Honor, we did.
For how long?
4 years?
2 years.
Was it 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years at our other house in 6 months, so 3, 2.5, almost 3. We were together for a while.
Is this your son? If you can have a paternity test, if you were my son, I would say have one. Giving you my good advice. That's the last thing of good advice you're going to get from me. You left the television in the entertainment center with her for 14 months, sir.
I did, and I kick myself in the butt for it every day.
But you had an agreement.
But the other thing was that if she was to move out, I would be able to get it back. And she says, well, it comes in a package. If you take me back, then I get her and the TV back.
And?
And I don't want that deal.
Why not, sir?
Because he'd rather have a 17-year-old girlfriend.
Shh. Don't interrupt again.
Sorry.
I let you slide with the outfit, not with the conduct. Go ahead.
Because, Your Honor, it's just how I've caught her at some guy's house, and it's just wrong, and I don't want to have that lifestyle.
Well, very good. You see why I suggested you get a paternity test, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You went and bought clothes on his Sears account for yourself?
I did buy things for the baby.
You didn't. According to you, you bought cami things for you. Cami in white, cami in pink. Maybe this
shirt to be exact.
And later today.
Miss Bass, you got to understand something. You may waltz around me, but ultimately, I'm going to get to the truth.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Justin Clausen says the mother of his daughter, Tiffany Harum, owes for the return of property and credit card charges made without his permission.
Now, you get a paternity test, sir. What you don't get is a television and an entertainment center that you left there for 14 months. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Madam, you could sit down.
Thank you.
Get over the television and get over the entertainment center. After 14 months, they're abandoned property. You left them there. I assume that your daughter is watching the television set? The one that you left?
No, it's in storage. It's sitting in storage.
Is that sitting in storage?
No, it's not, Your Honor.
Where is it?
It's in my house. In my bedroom, to be exact.
If you would like to call her father would say that it's in the storage. It's underneath his name.
I'm not calling her father. I'm telling you, get over it. Thus far, the order was that she has custody and you have visitation and everything is nice. Even though custody didn't end up the way you wanted it to end up, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That doesn't mean that you try to exacerbate an otherwise relatively calm situation by filing a small claims court 14 months after the fact for a television set.
Well, that was
It's
not
stupid.
That was not the only thing, though. She went to Sears and purchased some stuff on my credit card.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Here's the receipt.
You went and bought clothes on his Sears account for yourself?
It's in my name as well, Your Honor.
I don't care if it's on your name. Did you discuss it with him first?
No, it's my credit card, too.
Your Honor,
Who's paying the bill?
We both paid the bill.
No.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I paid the bill before he moved out for over 2 years.
I'm talking about now. This sales
and I offered
check
to pay him.
is dated March 11th, 2005. Well, why all of a sudden did you start using this credit card?
I went one time and...
Well, you have to pay for it.
Because I feel that I have paid my fair share of all of his credit cards, and I have them here.
Listen to me very carefully, madam. I have no counterclaim. All I have is somebody who, after a year and a half, went in and used a credit card just to give him one of these zingers, knowing that you weren't going to pay the bill and he was going to get stuck with it. And I would feel a little bit more compassionate towards you if you bought things for the baby. But you didn't.
I did buy things for the baby.
You didn't. According to you, you bought cami things for you. Cami in white, cami in pink. Maybe this
shirt to be exact.
That you get paid for. So a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $204.81. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's a good dad. He was there all through my pregnancy and, and still is for her.
I will continue being a great father.
We were very young. We've been together for a long time, 6 years.
For her, she'll probably keep being a good mother.
We had a lot of growing to do. We're different people now than we were, but but definitely still both good people.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Curry versus Orr. Step forward, please.
Shirley Curry is suing her son's ex-girlfriend, Nikki Orr, for trashing her home. Nikki claims she found Shirley's son in bed with another woman.
Miss Curry, I assume, based upon your complaint, that you were not at home at the time this incident occurred. Is that right?
Correct.
This is your son?
Yes.
But he was home?
Yes.
On what date did this incident occur?
The 28th of May.
And prior to that, how long had your son and Miss Orr been involved?
3 years.
And you liked her?
Yes.
She's a responsible gal?
From what I can tell.
Do you work?
No.
What do you do?
Just homemaker.
A homemaker of?
I receive SSI.
What's the nature of your disability?
Legally blind in the left eye.
Do you drive a car?
No.
How did you get to the plaintiff's house on the 28th of May?
I caught the bus from Cincinnati, Ohio to Kentucky.
How long a ride was that?
15 minutes.
Now, before you caught the bus, that 15 minutes, you had been drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
A lot?
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you drinking so much?
Because I heard by a friend that he was cheating on me, so I went to go confront him.
And what did you find when you got to Miss Curry's house? You
He was
found
in the
Mr.
bed.
Hornsby there with? Who were you there with, sir? That's not a smile.
Well, I was with a friend of mine.
What's her name?
Kim.
Tell me what happened, Mr. Hornsby.
First of all, she came in. The door was open. She walked in. She called me and Kim in the bed together, and she just started going crazy. She was trying to cut me, cut Kim, cut my mama furniture up, and just start cussing and acting a fool. And there wasn't even no cause for it, for real.
Did you tell Miss Orr before May 28th that you were going to see other people?
I told her that we can be friends, and if she want to be with me, that it's going to be an open relationship. But right now, it's best that we just be friends.
Why did you tell her that after 3 years?
I met somebody that was more interesting.
Did you tell Miss Orr that you met somebody that was more interesting, or did you just tell her you wanted to be friends?
I just told her I wanted to be friends because me and Kim is friends.
Well, that was friendly if she found you in bed together. That was, I mean, you know, I have friends with Bird.
But my whole point is, if we friends, it shouldn't matter who I'm in bed with.
When you've had an intimate relationship with somebody for 3 years, do you think that she had other friends during the course of that 3 years?
I think she did.
Really?
No.
I think she did.
I'm not sure. In any event, it is your claim, Miss Curry, that Miss Orr is responsible for destroying your house.
Yes.
Miss Orr says it wasn't her, it was somebody else.
Yes.
Can I see the pictures? Ooh. Did you call the police, Mr. Hornsby?
No, because she has kids, and I didn't want to see her go to jail and had the boys messed up, so I begged my mom, because my mom wanted to call the police. As soon as she got home, she went ballistic, so I had to slow her down, stop her from calling the police.
Deontay is lying. I did not do nothing. And she lying too. I did not tear up the furniture. I mean, I admit that I went over there and I opened the door and went in and saw them. What was I supposed to do? Just let them continue doing what they was doing? He know he must lying.
Shh. Listen to me. Listen to me. You have any clue where you are?
Yes.
Did you hear anybody else cursing?
No.
So far?
No.
She came home, found her house destroyed. She didn't open up a fresh mouth.
But I didn't do it. He know exactly who did it. He know that girl did it. And why she did it is because she knew that he had a girlfriend.
Listen to me. Tell me what happened when you got there. Tell me what happened.
They was having sex. I opened the door, and right before my eyes, they was having sex.
Okay, so what did you do?
I started going ballistic. I started throwing stuff, tearing up stuff. But I did not tear up her living room set, and I didn't tear up her bedroom set.
When you say you went ballistic, tell me what you did.
I admit I took a knife and some scissors and started trying to go at him with it, because what was I supposed to do? You see somebody you've been with for 3 years, you see them having sex with somebody else. Plus, he didn't tell me that he had another friend in the first place.
Miss Orr, what'd you take it out on her furniture for? Why don't you take it out on him?
I didn't tear up her furniture. I mean, I admit I started...
Shh. Listen to me. You just told me. I admit I had a knife, and I admit I had a scissors, and I admit I did something, but I didn't do all this, is what you're telling me. So what I'm saying to you is, why did you do anything to her furniture? You didn't find her in bed with anybody, right?
Right.
So you lost your temper. And you didn't have control over your temper because you were very
angry.
And very
upset.
And very
drunk.
You have some bills for me?
Yes, I have. This is how much the good as it should be. So I had to put down $2,200 on that furniture before it was even delivered to my house.
29 years old?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
I receive disability.
What's the nature of your disability?
I got a heart failure.
You got heart failure.
Yes.
What were you doing having sex in the middle of the afternoon on May 28th?
I ain't dead. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I mean, it's just sort of find it interesting. Everybody's got disability. This one gets drunk and travels across town to confront somebody, and she's on disability, right? You're 29 years old. You're making hay in the afternoon with somebody, right? I know you're not dead, but if you have enough energy, Mr. Hornsby, to have an afternoon delight, it would seem to me that you could do something like, you know, box candles. Anyway, all right. Listen, I'm perfectly shy. Shh. Your mother finds you cute?
I don't know. You think I'm cute?
No.
What? You have other children?
No.
This is it?
This is it.
You put all your eggs in one basket?
Yes.
Oi! I feel sorry for you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Oh, you don't get yours.
That's case number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Sherman versus Schiller. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, gentlemen. Have a seat.
Mr. Sherman, you and Mr. Schiller used to be friends, according to the complaint that I read. It is your claim that after an evening of drinking, Mr. Schiller purposely damaged your car.
Yes.
Mr. Schiller says that he did not damage your car, and in any event, you don't take responsibility for things that you do because a month or so previous to this incident, you got drunk and got sick on his carpeting and didn't take responsibility for that. So that's what happens when you get drunk. That's your defense.
That's basically correct, yes.
All right. Let's get to my favorite part of this. Let's get to the drinking part. What date did this incident allegedly happen, Mr. Sherman?
March 25th, 2005.
What time?
About 1 o'clock in the morning.
What day of the week was the 25th of March?
I believe it was a Saturday.
So, nobody had school or work. Do you work or go to school?
I go to college, and I also
Where?
work. Longview Community College.
Okay. Where did you start your drinking, Mr. Sherman, on Saturday night?
Went to a party, I believe it was a high school party in a rural area. I didn't know the person's house. I was taken there with my witness, Sean.
How many people were there?
I'd say about 50, 55.
Oh, good. I love this part. There were 50 or 55 high school kids?
Yeah, give or take.
A lot of drinking?
A lot of drinking.
Was it a nice house?
Not really.
Not when they got finished with it. The parents home?
No.
You know, I think when you have teenage children, you should just make a pact. You don't go away.
That's right.
You just don't go away.
Take them with you or lock them up.
Right. They should have sort of a kennel for them. So that the parents can go away. So these 50 teenagers are drinking in a house. Some other guys, you know, older college men like you show up, more responsible, and you're drinking. Now, was everybody bringing their own booze, or was it... What did you bring?
I didn't bring anything. I wasn't drinking, Your Honor.
Not at all?
No.
Who was driving?
I was.
What were you drinking? Is not an answer.
I was
but
drinking.
Standing up is good.
I was drinking Miller Lite.
How many did you bring?
12-pack.
12? Just for you?
Yeah.
And the two of you went together?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know the people whose party it was?
I just got calls from friends and...
Sort of out of the loop. You know, teenage kids have passed me by a long time ago. When you get the call, what does the call usually say?
There's a party, and come over, and blah, 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 and then you get directions, and just go.
Now you can sit down, Sean, until I need you again. Okay, so what happened at the party, Mr. Sherman?
Well, I went to the party, started talking with some friends, gazed over, and saw Mr. Schiller here. He was with his best friends, and they were making faces at me, laughing and towards my direction, and I just got real embarrassed and really just distraught about the whole thing. And then they started making puking motions at me.
Had you gotten sick on Mr. Schiller's carpet the
Yes.
month before?
Yeah, I did.
And did you make arrangements to have the carpet cleaned up?
He refused my help. He said, no, I've had enough with you. He just told me to get out of his house.
Okay. Did he subsequently call you and ask you to pay to have the carpet cleaned?
Not until a week later.
A week later. I said subsequently. Subsequently can be a week.
Okay.
So he called you a week later, and what did you say to him?
I said, no, I'm not going to pay for that.
Okay. Let's cut to the party's over, and you got to the party at what time?
9:30ish.
9:30, and you left about 12:30, quarter of 1?
Yeah.
Good. And all that time you didn't have a beer?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Almost doesn't pay to go to the party.
Oh, you have a good time there. Socialize. I don't think you have to drink to have a good time.
Any drug? Yeah, well.
No. No drugs.
No drugs?
No drugs, Your Honor.
Any drugs?
No.
Just drinking?
Just drinking.
How much did he drink?
About case.
Okay, so now it's 12:30, quarter of 1. And you leave?
Yeah, I decided to leave. I was tired of it.
Now, pick it up from there, Mr. Sherman.
Mr. Schiller and his friends were extremely drunk. I walked out to my car, and they ran in front of me and started pushing my car into a ditch. At that point, I got in the car, told Sean to get in the car, and started the ignition and headed out. They continued to follow me in their Chevy Blazer. Started yelling out the window and flashing their lights, honking their horn, tapping me on the road.
You mean acting stupid?
Yeah,
Okay,
acting
so
stupid.
they're acting stupid. What's next?
After that, I got to my house, stepped up on the front porch. They rolled up right behind me, honking the horn, telling me that they want to kick my ass. And I told them to leave, and they revved their engine and slammed into the back of my car, Your Honor, and then drove off. At that point, I was in shock and called the police. I have the police report right
Can
here.
I see it, please?
Yes.
Have a photograph of the damage?
Yes. I also have an estimate.
I'd like to see that, too. Now I'll hear you, sir.
About a month before this incident occurred,
I know months before you,
Yeah.
you got sick and he ruined your carpet.
ruined
and
the carpet, damaged.
You wanted him to pay
well,
for
not
it.
only that, though, he tried to fight me in my own house.
He got drunk.
He got drunk.
He has a drinking problem.
He cost me, yeah. Well,
He has
he
a
blacked
drinking
out, and I
problem.
let him pass out on the ground.
Listen to me, Mr. Schiller. He has a drinking problem.
He's an alcoholic.
I don't have a drinking problem. He has a drinking problem.
He has a...
Mr. Sherman, I want you to trust me on this one. I have a nose. You shouldn't drink. Keep going.
Well, we were outside. He basically invited us over to try to fight him. He
How
wanted
did
to fight.
he do that?
What, screaming down the road. Sean actually was yelling out the window, "Come over and fight us."
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's... Listen, Mr. Sherman. See, that's what happens when you have a drinking problem. You can't control yourself. Mr. Sherman, do you understand?
Yes.
Understand how quiet he was when you were testifying? Didn't interfere. When you have a drinking problem, even if you haven't been drinking, you lose control of your ability to have control of yourself. Like right now. Mr. Sherman, if I can tell that you, as a 19-year-old kid, drinks too much, by the time you're 30, it's going to be over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I just wanted to get this settled, maybe talk out with him, but...
And you thought, Mr. Schiller, the appropriate time to talk to Mr. Sherman was when he had had a case of beer.
Well, that's the only time to talk to him.
Mr. Schiller, don't play with me, sir.
And later today,
She told me that whenever her son Kenneth was moving up to Kansas City and that his father had a lot of money and they were going to get full custody and make me out to be an unfit mother.
I never said that.
Just a second.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Justin Sherman says acquaintance Jothan Schiller rammed his car in a drunken rage. Jothan claims It's Justin who is the troublemaker.
All right, so now you are at Mr. Sherman's house because this idiot over here challenged you to a duel.
Yes.
And you were sufficiently sophisticated, in control of yourself to say, I'm not going to get started with this. I'm going to go home. Whoops. No, I don't think so. I think I'm going to go over and fight them. Right? Now, you go over there, you honk your horn, and they don't come.
No, they ran inside as soon as we got there.
Right, and you honk your horn.
Yes, I honked.
And they didn't want to come out to fight you.
No, they did not want to. When they had offered first. I mean, I didn't want to fight him. I just wanted to get this settled, maybe talk out with him, but...
And you thought, Mr. Schiller, the appropriate time to talk to Mr. Sherman was when he had a case of beer.
Yes. Well, that's the only time to talk to him.
No. You thought that the appropriate time to talk to him when he would be in control of his senses.
He's usually been drinking.
Mr. Schiller, don't play with me, sir.
Well,
all right. And it's your statement that after you honked your horn and they refused to come out, you drove away and you did not back into the car.
I was parked in the driveway, so it might have appeared that I was close, but maybe his prior damage.
So that's your statement. Very good. What year is your car, sir?
A 91 Buick LeSabre.
Okay.
It holds sentimental value, Your Honor.
What?
It was my great-grandfather's. That's why I want it fixed. It holds sentimental value.
Well, I don't get sentimental over a car, sir. You know, maybe a vintage Rolls Royce. But I got to tell you something. You should have it fixed. You're not going to have it fixed for $2,000. You find a ding doctor who can fix it maybe for $500. But I'm going to tell you both. If you continue to drink and act stupid, that's what happens. You ruin carpet. He hits your car. You're just lucky you didn't kill somebody else that evening because you had all been drinking. I have very little sympathy for either one of you. Anyway, you're suing him for $2,000 because that's the estimate that you had. The whole car's not worth $2,000. Get somebody to fix it for $500. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just completely outraged. I didn't cause any damage to his car. He's just, you know, like she said, a drinking problem, so that's just the person that we're dealing with.
I don't have a drinking problem. I never did, never will. He's the one with the drinking problem. That's why he hit me.
Alcoholism runs in his family, you know, I mean, so he just doesn't have, he also doesn't have regard for society.
I never wanted to start a fight. I would just wanted him to go away. That's what I was saying.
He drives home after parties and gets in car accidents. It's just kind of ridiculous.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hamuda versus Wilson. Step forward, please.
28-year-old Mohammed Hamuda is suing his former roommate, Susan Wilson, for a security deposit and an assault. Mohammed says Susan scratched his arm with a monkey puppet.
Mr. Hamuda, you rented a room from Miss Wilson and you were a tenant of hers for approximately a year, is that right?
That's right.
According to your complaint, on the day that you moved out, there was an altercation with Miss Wilson and she caused you to injure yourself with this puppet, I gather. And in addition, she refuses to return your security deposit of $200. So you are suing her for both the injury that you sustained as well as the security deposit. Miss Wilson says there was never an assault. You were a terrible tenant. You left the place in a mess. And since you left the place in a mess, you're not entitled to your security deposit. Why didn't he get his security deposit back?
He took the blinds off. He threw them away. I took them, put them in the closet, waited for him to move out to show him the blinds were...
Show me pictures of the apartment.
I have a videotape, but he took pictures of the blinds.
I want to see a videotape that you have of the apartment to show me why he shouldn't get his security deposit back.
It's back there.
Let's get it. What word didn't we understand? Are you telling me that the videotape that you have demonstrates the condition of the apartment when he left, that it was a mess?
Yes.
How much did you pay to clean it?
About $90.
Show me the bill.
I don't have a bill.
Who cleaned it?
I did.
Miss Wilson, I don't need the videotape. You're irritating me. He's entitled to get his security deposit back. If you had to pay somebody either to clean a carpet or to clean walls or to repaint or something else, that's a different story. Don't tell me that you paid $90 to have it cleaned up and then I asked who cleaned it up and you told me you did.
Well, the blinds were destroyed.
Show me a bill for the blinds.
I don't have a bill.
Then he gets his deposit back. All right, now, tell me about this assault.
I was trying to move out and I was carrying Mo. And she tried to stop me from getting out. She kept standing in my face, saying, "Give me the key."
Give you the key?
Yeah, for the apartment. But she was kind of a little drunk, so she wasn't.
Look at me, sir. Don't look at your picture. Look at me.
And I was carrying this puppet. On my way out, she stood in my face again. And she said, give me the key. And I said, I already gave you the key. She couldn't believe me, so she grabbed the puppet from its legs, causing me a mark on my arm.
Let me see.
I'd like to see it too.
Why did you take these pictures? Is it because you anticipated trouble?
No,
So why
because
were
she
you-
claimed that I left the place as a mess.
He called the police on me because I wasn't going to give him his deposit. So he called the police, and the police said to take pictures, and so that's why I took my video camera out.
I
So that
see.
was the
Why-
reason.
And you told him you weren't giving him his deposit back? Why?
Because of the reason of him eating my food, tearing the blinds, you know. It's just a mess.
Bird, I know that this is... I just have to see on what he scratched himself. I want to see where it's sharp there. Could you bring that up to me, please?
He could have
Can't
scratched
believe I went to
himself
school.
cleaning the walls in the bedroom.
Where is there anything sharp here, sir?
The rope. I was carrying it this way,
Oh.
and she grabbed it from its legs
I
to grab
see. So
me
she
inside.
was pulling it back. I see.
I
Okay.
did. Oh my God. How ridiculous.
I believe you, Mr. Hamuda. I believe you that she caused a scratch on your arm. I believe you that she tried to interfere with your walking out of the apartment, which you shouldn't have done. You are suing her nominally for $300 for that scratch on your arm, and I believe you're entitled to it. And you are also entitled to your security deposit back because she has absolutely no proof that you caused any damage to the apartment. As a matter of fact, the photographs that I've seen show that the apartment was in pretty reasonable condition. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 154 on the calendar in the matter of Johnson versus Ishmael. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Bird, I'd like you to do me a favor. Since there is a potential for there being some serious yelling there by me, you can take these two children and see to it that they amuse themselves elsewhere.
Gotcha. Come this way.
Miss Johnson, according to the complaint that I've read, you rented a house.
An apartment unit.
Or an apartment unit in a little complex.
Yes.
Where the defendant also lived.
Yes.
The owner of that apartment unit is her mother.
Yes.
You, according to you, have the right to use the driveway because the driveway can only accommodate one car, and if a second car is pulled behind your car, you can't get out.
Yes.
So far, is that right?
Yes.
That the unit is rented to the plaintiff. She has the right to use the driveway.
I don't know what agreement they had.
Do you have an agreement?
Yes, I do have
I'd like
an agreement.
to see it, please.
That the agreement, the landlord gave her a copy of this. She has a
I'd like
copy
to
of
see
that.
it, please. So this is an agreement by your mother, who's the owner of the property.
Correct.
The owner of the property gives exclusive use of the driveway to Miss Johnson.
I have no knowledge of that agreement.
I don't believe you. In any event, you are bound by it.
Okay, can I ask you a question? If I don't know anything about it, how am I bound by it? Because I have no copy of that, no knowledge.
Listen to me. I find that you knew that you were not supposed to use the driveway. The drive... Don't speak. Okay. Just listen.
Okay.
I find that because even in your answer to her complaint, you say, I only left my car there for a minute while I was dropping off groceries. So you knew very well, because unless you don't speak to your mother,
Correct.
and if you didn't speak to your mother, she wouldn't let you live there. So I find that you knew exactly what is contained in this letter of agreement, and you could say no from today till tomorrow. My job is to figure out who's telling the truth, and you don't want me to label you a liar before we even start, right?
Right, but
Good, so I suggest you keep your mouth shut until I get to you.
No problem.
Were those your children?
Correct.
Which is why I put them out. According to your complaint, there have been ongoing problems with the defendant with regard to parking behind your car.
Yes.
When did they start?
It started in April of this year.
What happened this year that made this problem occur?
Well, when the contract was originally written in December, Adrian at the time was not included nor excluded because at the time she lived in the front house. She didn't have a car at the time, but when she had a car years ago, she parked her car in front of the house. So April 2005, she pulled her car up behind me and blocked me, and I have pictures.
When did she get a car?
I didn't even know that was her car. When I called her mother and said I'm blocked in, and she asked me to describe the car, she said, oh, that's Adrian's car. So I saw that same car parked on the curb, like in the street. I thought it was abandoned because it doesn't have a license plate on it and there's no VIN number.
I see the pictures,
so
please.
I had no idea that that was even her car. Her mother had to tell me it was her car, so I don't know. This is a picture of her car.
Prior to that, there had been no difficulty because she did, according to you, either didn't have a car, or if she did, it was parked in the front of the house.
That's correct. At the time,
Okay.
we were just not on speaking terms. But there were no problems with her parking the car back there because she always parked in the
Any
front.
reason why you weren't on speaking terms with her?
We've never gotten along since childhood, and you know.
So you know each other for a long time.
Exactly. Our personalities are just very different. You know, we keep very different friends, and her ways have made me decide that she's not a person that I want to even hang around with.
Okay, so the first time was in April.
In April.
When was the next time?
The next time was on April 15th. She blocked me in for about 4 hours. I called the Department of Transportation and the police, and they called me on the phone to find out 4 hours later if the car had been moved. And by that time, she had driven off. The next time she blocked me in was on May 20th. She blocked me in for about an hour.
Did you ring her bell? Did you try to call her?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely did. I always, you know, I holler because our door, the way my door sits, is her backyard is my front yard. So I call her, or I have my daughter go knock on the door. I don't have her phone number, and she wouldn't let me out. She'd be like, I'll move my car whenever I want to. So on the 29th, when she blocked me in, her mother was out of town, and I was getting ready to go to work. She pulled up behind me, blocked me in. So I said, Adrian, you need to move your car. I have to go to work. I'll move whenever I want to move. So she walked into the house, and I'm like, no, what am I going to do? The police called me 4 hours later. They never showed up. So I figured the best way to get her to move her car is to make her feel like a caged rat. I closed the gate, here's a picture of the gate. I closed the gate and locked it. Immediately, she came running outside. Instead of coming to my door and saying, I'm ready to move my car now, she bagged up and rammed the gate and ran it down. I called her mother and said, Annie, I called the police. They came within 30 minutes. I said, Annie Mae, Adrian ran your gate down because I locked her in because she would not move her car so I can go to work. And they came out. Here's the police report and made an incident.
Can I see it, please?
This is the police report. It's the letter. The police report. It's the letter from.
All right, that's May 29th. Let me look at the police report.
Okay.
Her mother signed this report.
That's correct.
Okay, so your mother signed this report against you.
Yeah, because they said I couldn't make the report. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So after that, on June 6th, I was coming home from work, 7:30 in the morning. Hear a car pull up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Adrian! I have to leave out here in an hour to go to my exercise class." So I hollered out the window, "You better move your MF car!" And she ain't moving nothing, you know. So she went on the house, and I'm like, "Well, what am I going to do? Because I'm not going to miss my. I lost 60 pounds. I'm exercising. I'm not going to miss my class." So I decided the best way to move her car was to bag it out, and I bagged her car out into the street where it turned into the curb. She got upset, came out of the house. "Oh, you done did it now, you B."
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are lying to me because any sensible person.
But you don't know me to say that.
Whoa, I know you. No. I know exactly who you are. Get your hand off your hip. There's only one attitude here. That's mine.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lynette Johnson says her cousin, Adrian Ishmael, damaged her car and her driveway gate. Adrian says Lynette pushed her car into the middle of the street.
So you pushed her car out?
I did.
With your car?
With my car. And so she got upset. I saw her, she jumped in her car, got her key, she came around, and I saw her coming, so I quickly closed the gate, I locked it, and she rammed the gate into my car. And that's where I have the damages right here.
Can I see it?
And her landlord kept telling her, "You don't have any business there. The police come out, here's the police report. You have no business being there. You can't explain why you're there."
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Okay, first of all, that's a total lie.
Let's start with 2 days that I'm interested in.
Okay.
The first one is May 29th, when your mother signed a police complaint against you.
I agree. I admitted to the vandalism. I did do that.
Okay. Why did you park your car behind her car, fully knowing that you were really rendering her unable to move because your car was there?
Because that's not the truth. First of all, can I explain my story? I usually do park in the front of my house, I was getting my house painted. The painters messed up my front door. I couldn't gain access to my house through the front anymore. So I had to go through the back door to gain access to the house. That's the only reason I was parking in the driveway.
Just a second. Let me understand this, Miss Ishmael. Because the painters were working on your house and you had to use the back door, you couldn't park in the front and walk to the back? You had to drive. I'm speaking. You had to drive your car there? How far is it from the front door to the back door?
But that day was right before a holiday, and I had bought a lot of groceries. I mean, a whole lot, because I was having a barbecue the next day. And the only thing I was parking in the driveway for was to unload the groceries into the house. And that was the day I rammed the gate. And Lynette is not being...
Just a second. Now let's get to June 6th. There was no holiday, no barbecue.
Right.
So what were you doing, parking behind her car again?
Just unloading groceries.
You already had a major problem a week before. What were you parking there for?
Because, like I said before, I did not have a copy of any agreement. You said you don't believe me, but I have no reason to lie. I had no account of that. That agreement was not between me
Miss Ishmael, let me explain something to you, madam. Your mother signed a complaint against you.
No, she did not. She did not. That was
no. You listen to me.
Okay.
Your mother signed a complaint of vandalism on the 29th of May. And what you're asking me to believe is you had no communication with your mother.
Correct. Correct. That's the truth.
Listen to me. I don't believe you. You are lying to me because any sensible person.
But you don't know me to say that.
Whoa, I know you. No. I know exactly who you are. You are somebody who is a passive, aggressive person.
That's not true. That's not true. You don't know me to say
Fortunately, madam, I went to college. I went to law school. I passed the bar. I was appointed a judge 3 times.
That's great.
So I'm the only one that gets to make the decisions. When you're sitting here, you can make the decision. So I decided that when common sense suggests to me that somebody is lying, I'm willing to go with common sense. And common sense indicates to me that when you're living in a house and you know that only one car can gain egress or ingress from one space, and you choose time after time after time to block this lady's car in, that you have a passive, aggressive personality.
But
and if you are, I'm speaking. Okay. And if you are living at a premises that's owned by your mother, who happens to have your last name, and your mother is privy to an agreement between this lady and other tenants, that unless you and your mother, you're living on Saturn and your mother is living on Pluto, then your mother said to you, don't park in the driveway. Not to unload groceries, not to unload your kids, not to unload your temper, not to unload your temper. I don't believe you. Can I see the estimates now?
That's why I'm saying you're not giving me a right to prove my case. That's not fair. This is not fair.
Life, madam, I want you to understand something. Life sometimes is not fair. Go ahead.
She parked my car in the middle of the street and endangering the lives of
You're absolutely right. She had no right to push your car into the street. Now I want you to show me what damage was caused to your car as a result of being pushed into the streets and the estimates for its repair.
There was no damage because I got my car out the middle of the street.
Right. There was no damage.
I'm not claiming damage. All I'm saying is that what she's accusing me of is not true because you have not given me a chance to state my case. You have not given me the equal time to...
Listen to me, madam. My time is more valuable than your baloney. What you did time after time was to block this lady's car in, and I can imagine the frustration. Everybody who drives a car who's been in a situation where they've parked a car and somebody blocks them in and says, I'm just going in for a pack of cigarettes. I'm just going in to pick up a quart of milk. I'll be out. And they say, come on, could you move your car? Get your hand off your hip. There's only one attitude here. That's mine.
I don't have an attitude. So I'm saying that because my back is hurting, ma'am.
Well, that's too bad. Try to keep your back in check until this case is over.
That's
good. Very good. And maybe it hurt from carrying all those groceries. Listen to me. Everybody who's driven a car knows what it's like when somebody behaves disrespectfully with no clue as to other people's time. That's you. Maybe if you had some more to do, you would think about other...
True.
Who do you work for?
I'm a chef at a fish market.
How
I
many
have a
days,
job.
I'm speaking, how many days a week do you work?
I work 6 days a week.
Did you file tax returns this year?
Yes, I did.
How much did you earn on your tax returns that you filed in April?
$14,000.
You know, you're making it up as you're going along.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff, the amount of $827. That's all. That's to fix your car.
Judge Judy,
That's it.
what about the days when you
That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Misery Love Company, and she's very upset that she couldn't put me into the sandbox.
This didn't just start. Since she was a child, she's been crazy.
She's a jealous, envious person.
You tried living in front of a psycho. Anthony Perkins, watch out. It's a new psycho in town. I'm very happy. Thank you, Judge Judy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Childress versus Reese. Step forward.
26-year-old Ciara Childress is suing her ex-boyfriend, Casey Reese, for kicking her car. Casey claims Ciara punched him in the mouth.
Miss Childress, Mr. Reese and you have a child together, but you are no longer in a relationship. According to your complaint, Mr. Reese vandalized your car by kicking it. Mr. Reese does not deny that he kicked your car, and he said he kicked your car instead of kicking you. Close.
Exactly.
So, when did this incident occur?
It was on May 2nd.
Where?
In front of he has 2 other kids. It was in front of his kid's mother's house.
So you went there?
Yes.
Had you told him you were coming?
Yes.
When?
About maybe 15 minutes earlier, I was coming to get a cell phone from him.
What happened when you got there?
He came outside, and we were arguing. We had been arguing.
Why were you arguing?
Just different things.
You want to tell me?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what happened. Ciara came over to get the phone.
Why did you have her phone?
Actually, it's my phone, but you know, she does pay the bill.
Just a minute. Why does she pay the bill?
Oh, for her to keep in touch with.
Why do you want to keep in touch with him?
Because of my son, but I don't do that anymore.
Okay. So you're coming to get the phone and you were annoyed.
Right. Because basically...
Keep going.
He doesn't do anything. I was bothered. I was trying to get my child support, different issues that not consistent with getting my child support. He had disrespected me. I think at that time he was speaking with somebody on the phone in front of me, on my phone, and I had hit him. He hit me back.
You mean on this date?
Yes.
On May 2nd, you hit him?
Yes. And he hit me back.
No, I hit your car.
He hit me back.
Well, you had no right to hit him.
You're right.
What did you expect him to do?
I don't
Just
know.
suck it up?
I guess so.
Well, you're wrong.
Apparently.
Apparently. You think you're going to hear from my mouth, you're not supposed to hit a woman? Not from my mouth. You hit him, and he's allowed to defend himself. Okay, Mr. Reese, so she hit you. Where did she hit you?
In the face.
And what did you do?
See, what happened was when she hit me, she raised up the window, so I kicked the car.
We were outside.
I was outside.
We
She
were
was sitting in the
outside.
car.
How'd I hit you in the car? We were outside.
Easily,
I
the
slapped
window
him.
down.
He punched me in my arm. He ran into the house. He came back out talking about his lip something. Came out, kicked in my car 3 times.
What do you mean talking about his lip?
His lip apparently, I hit him in the mouth. Apparently his lip was whatever. I had a bruise on my arm.
I don't care about your arm.
Okay.
I don't care about your arm. Okay. I care about your lip. Was your lip bleeding?
Yes.
Because it wasn't a slap, because he must have punched you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
And let me see the damage to your car.
I did not punch him. I slapped him.
Well, you may have slapped him, but you slapped
really
him hard
wanted
enough
to.
to
We should-
make his lip bloody. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Where were you when he kicked the car?
I was inside my vehicle calling the police.
Why were you calling the police if you assaulted him?
He punched me back. Does that make 2 wrongs make a right? He punched me back and kicked in my vehicle.
But this makes me feel better. You have no right to put your hands on somebody else. And if by putting your hands on Mr. Reese, his reaction was to kick your car, which is really what you're saying, right?
After he punched me.
And I'm telling you, A, I don't believe he punched you, and B, if he did, you took a picture of your car, not your bruised arm. So evidently this was more important to you than your bruised arm.
Actually, it wasn't, because I went and got a restraining order the next day against him, so it couldn't have been.
Well, I want to tell you something. I wouldn't have given you a restraining order.
Related.
If I were the judge sitting there, I wouldn't have given you a restraining order. I would have showed you the door. You started it. You started it. You started the problem. First, you wanted to control him by giving him a cell phone so you could keep in touch with him over your son, which is a lot of baloney. And second, you put your hands on him because you went over there, and you went over there annoyed. You went over there looking for a fight. You got a fight, and you ended up with a dented car. Pay for it. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That's case number 130 on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Grody. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Smith, according to what I've read in your complaint, you and Mr. Grody were dating. You went to a Christmas party with him using your car. He drove home from the Christmas party. There was an accident, and he totaled your car. You were a passenger in the car. You want $5,000 so that you can buy a new car, and Mr. Grody says that it was, in fact, an accident. There was snow and ice on the road, and you should have had better insurance if the car was so valuable. That's your defense, right? Okay. Let's see. This Christmas party was on what date?
December 4th of 2004.
And how far from your home was the Christmas party?
Well, from my home, it was about an hour and a half. From where John lives, it was about 40 minutes.
And I see from your complaint that it was originally your intention to sleep over.
Yes.
And you had hotel reservations.
I do not know if there was hotel reservations. I did call to get a receipt for the hotel reservations. They said that
you made arrangements to stay over.
I did not. John said that he was going to make all the arrangements.
Okay. And that was because?
It was his Christmas party.
And you were both going to be drinking?
Yes.
So that was a very wise thing, to make arrangements to stay over.
Okay, we didn't make arrangements before we got there. Our whole thing was actually that we were going home that night. When we got there was when everybody said, oh, we're all staying here, so do you want to stay? And originally she said she didn't want to stay.
And what
she said
about
we
you?
didn't have the money to stay.
Your Honor.
Just a second, he's talking. Go ahead.
So when we were actually, when we were there, and I said, all right, well then, I wanted to stay there. She said we didn't have the money to stay there, so the plan was to drive home after that.
Who didn't have the money?
Both of us. Either of us.
So you didn't have the money either?
Well, I offered to pay. I mean, I had a credit card on me. I could have paid, but then she said she didn't want me to. So the plan was to go home.
Mr. Grody, were you drinking?
Yes, I was.
Was she drinking?
Yeah, she was.
Then you find the money to stay over.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Now, what time did you leave the party?
I had to be around 12:30.
And what time had you arrived at the party?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
I believe it was around 8 o'clock.
What kind of alcohol were you consuming that day, Miss Smith?
I had some wine with dinner, and then in the bar area, I was drinking Captain and Diet Coke.
And what were you drinking, Mr. Grody?
Corbel and Diet Coke.
Corbel and Diet Coke. Is that a mix?
It is for me.
What, really? I mean, do you mix those two together, or you drink the Coke as a chaser?
No, I mix them together.
You mix them together?
Nope, I'm a brandy boy, sorry.
I guess it ain't a mimosa. I guess it's a Melissa.
Melissa, that's cute. It's cute. I wouldn't record it anywhere, but it's cute. How many of these bizarre drinks did you have that evening?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. So you know that you were in no position to be driving home.
Before we left, I did stop drinking a while before we actually did leave.
How old are you, sir?
23.
How many hours into the drive home did you have this accident?
About 40 minutes. We were about a mile away from my house.
Is there a police report?
Yes, I have an
I'd
accident
like to see
report.
it. You're driving on a suspended license?
No.
Did you have a license?
Yes, I did.
It says that you were cited for driving too fast for the conditions, failure to notify police of an accident,
Correct.
and operating after a suspension.
Right. Actually, everything didn't go through. I actually paid the ticket that I had it suspended for before that, but it didn't go through in that township.
What was your license suspended for?
For not paying a ticket or not appearing in court for a speeding ticket.
Did you get a ticket for driving too fast for the conditions?
Yes, I did.
Okay. According to your complaint, Ms. Smith, he was angry that evening when you left.
Yes.
Is that right? Tell me about it.
Well, we were all just, socializing, and I went up to the bar to get a drink. And while I was waiting for my drink, a guy just randomly struck up a conversation with me. We were just chatting while I was waiting, and apparently John here didn't like that. And he came up and he had made a remark to the individual that was talking to me. I couldn't understand what he was saying, but I could definitely, he was aggressive in his body language towards this guy. So I really didn't want to, push the issue. I just stayed where I was, thought that he would just, have like 5 minutes of cool down time, and I would stay there. But then immediately he came back up to me, and he just said, "We're leaving now." And
what time was that?
I believe it was around 12:15.
Okay, and did you leave?
Yes.
And you let him drive?
Well, I didn't. Yes. Physically, I let him drive because I knew I could not physically stop him from driving. He had possession of my keys because I allowed him to drive us to the party. And so he was angry. I was very scared. He's much larger than I am.
Shouldn't have gotten into the car.
I understand. I shouldn't have gotten into the car.
So car's just steel, replaceable.
Understandable. I was clearly not thinking about
the best
thing. Yes, and also, even if it hadn't been drinking, I believe due to the scare factor, I just didn't want him to, of course, damage my property that I worked very hard. And I know that's a very irrational thought. My body is much more precious than a chunk of metal, like you said.
You're right. So what happened on the way home?
He just kept saying that, why were you talking to this guy? This was my party. You're my girlfriend. Being very possessive, being very jealous.
And some of the booze talking, too.
Possibly, yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I freaked out and I said, "John, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. It's dark. We're on country roads and you've been drinking." But it was too late. And then the next thing I remember, he was saying, "Get out of the car now. Get out of the car now."
And later today.
Did you believe that the friendship would rekindle into a relationship?
No.
Mr. Marquez, don't insult my intelligence.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Audrey Smith says ex-boyfriend John Grody crashed her VW Jetta while driving drunk. Audrey also says John was irate when he got behind the wheel.
Keep going.
And so he was speeding because he was getting agitated. And I looked at the speedometer, and it was at 80 miles per hour. And I freaked out, and I said, "John, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. It's dark. We're on country roads, and you've been drinking." But it was too late. Then next thing I remember was him saying, "Oh." And then I blacked out momentarily. And then the next thing I remember, he was saying, "Get out of the car now. Get out of the car now." And I was very disoriented. And so he pulled me out through the driver's side door. And...
Okay. I was going 85 about 10 miles before we actually crashed. I slowed down before we actually went around that curve because I go around that curve every day. I know that it's a bad curve and there's accidents there all the time.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 99 Volkswagen Jetta.
The car was totaled?
Yes.
Did you tell her that you were going to get her another car?
We had a car at work. I'm auto mechanic.
That's not my question.
Yes, I told her that I was going to buy her the car that we had at work and fix it for her, and it was more than equivalent to what she had. She said she didn't want that car. And after that, I'm not obligated, and I did not feel obligated to actually buy her a car. I thought it was just a nice gesture for me to do.
It's not a nice gesture, sir. You caused an accident.
Right.
Your lack of judgment, by virtue of the fact that you had been drinking all night, your lack of judgment and getting behind the wheel and being emotionally agitated with her that evening, which you clearly were. There's no question in my mind that that happened.
Right.
The police indicate that you were driving in excess of the speed limit. Your answer that you provided me says that you had this accident because of the road conditions, because it was icy, going in excess of the speed limits, which the police document.
It says too fast for conditions.
That's absolutely right. Too fast for the conditions. Too fast for the conditions. Too fast for the hour of the evening. It was dark. Too fast for the fact that you had been drinking champagne and Coke a whole night. All of those things put together suggest to me that this was not an accident brought about by virtue of the fact that accidents sometimes happen. You were doing the wrong thing. And because you were doing the wrong thing, she doesn't have a car anymore.
Right.
So, take care of that. You have the Blue Book value on your car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
I did give her my car, by the way.
Shouldn't have it anymore, does she?
Yeah.
Yes, I do have, it was signed over to me, but I also have the NADA value of that.
Just a second. Hold it, my dear. You accepted the car from him and you registered it?
Not at first. At first, he gave it to me. He said, "You can borrow this car until I buy you the replacement for your totaled vehicle.
Okay.
I said, thank you. I told him, like, well, you know what, I'm going to take the car for now, and then I'm going to sue you for the rest.
Is that what she said to you?
Yep.
What kind of car did you give her?
95 Corsica Chevy.
Are you telling me that you signed the title over to her?
Correct.
And she said to you, I'm going to take this car, but I'm going to sue you for the rest of the money that I think you owe me, and you said, okay, I'm going to sign over the car anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Why in the world would you do that?
Because otherwise, if I took the car back from her, how would she get anywhere?
What do you care?
I don't want to be a jerk. I understand that she didn't have a car because of me, and I didn't want to be a jerk. I wanted her to be able to get around.
You've been driving this car since April?
I've actually been driving it since the accident happened. And the reason why I needed it transferred over into my name is because I found out that he did not carry insurance on it. And I was driving the car and I need insurance, and in order to carry insurance, it has to be registered in my name. So that's why I had to do that. Otherwise, again, I would be left with no car.
Okay. Why don't you have her do this? Why don't you have her sign this title back over to him?
Signature of seller, I guess.
Okay. Can I borrow your pen? Thank you.
Good. Now he's got his car back. Go pick it up.
Okay.
It's yours. And now you'll pay her $5,000 so she can go out and buy a car. Just for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's
Thank you, Judge.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I thought it was, I guess, fair.
Of course I'm happy. I won. You know, yay.
I was just upset that she wasn't with the party.
He just kept saying, you know, this is my party, you're my guest, and you should be by my side the entire night.
That's pretty much all it was about.
Really have no, beef with him other than this.
Barbara Jack is suing her son, 21-year-old Nathan Quast, for the cost to retain an attorney. Barbara says police were investigating Nathan for credit card fraud.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Now, this is case number 139 on the calendar in the matter of Jack versus Quast. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
This is Jack. This young man is your son.
Yes, he is.
It is your claim that he owes you for some loan that you made him for an attorney when he got himself into some trouble. In addition to that, you had an argument with him several months ago and claimed that he assaulted you, and you wanted him to pay punitively for assaulting you. Your son says that you were the one who actually hit him and that the attorney was your idea, so you pay for it. Is that right?
Yes.
And he has a counterclaim. He says that you disposed of, either sold or got rid of some of his personal property, and in addition, something about a truck that was his that you got rid of. What were you arrested for?
I was actually never arrested. My name got sent into something that happened. No charges have been brought about it.
When was this?
Last.
Your mother would know. When was it?
It was the end of July, beginning of August. The attorney was gotten like second week in August.
Okay. How old are you, by the way?
21.
What kind of work do you do now?
Construction.
How long have you been working?
I've been at my job for over a year and a half now.
Okay. So sometime last year, he got an attorney. For what, Miss Jack?
He was involved in a credit card scam at an appliance store up by our house.
How did you find out about it?
Between him coming home and saying he had to get the stuff out of the house and some of his friends coming to look for him, I got more details about what had happened.
I don't know what you mean. He's saying that he's got to get what stuff out of the house?
Some of the stuff that was stolen or bought with the credit card.
So you had some of this stuff in your house?
He had it in his car, actually, and the car was in my garage.
So he was not questioned, not taken into custody, and never arrested. So tell me about the lawyer. Who called him?
I did, along with Nathan.
Who called him? You only have one person on the phone. Who called him?
I was on the phone.
And where did you get the lawyer from?
A friend of mine from work brought Nathan to her house and talked with Nathan and got the name of the attorney from her boyfriend. So Nathan and Actuel got the attorney's name.
Is that right?
No, she had a long conversation at work with a friend, got the attorney's name, had him, and already called him by the time she got home and talked to me.
Did you ever make an agreement with your mother to pay for the attorney? Don't look over there.
No.
Well, you hesitated for a moment, Mr. Quast. So I want you to tell me what kind of discussion did you have with your mother?
Nothing was brought up about it. I mean, it was basically to find out what was going on with it. She came out and wanted to do it just as a safe regard.
As a what?
As like a safe regard in case something did come
Safe
of it.
regard? That's not English, sir. How much was the lawyer, Mr. Quast?
I believe $2,500.
And who paid for the lawyer?
She wrote the check out.
Were you there when she wrote out the check?
Yes.
Was it in the lawyer's office?
Yes.
You were working construction at that time.
Yes.
Where were you living?
I was renting the basement from her.
How much were you paying her in rent?
Work around the house.
Don't irritate me. How much were you paying her in rent?
Nothing.
And how much were you earning in construction?
In between $400 to $500 a week.
What were you doing with your money?
Sinking into getting cars running out of the way.
You want to repeat that for me one more time? Sinking into getting my cars running once out of the way? What does that mean? What does that mean? We live in a country where English is the primary language, sir. Try to speak English. Did you graduate from high school?
Nope.
Well, you should have. Go back to school. You're going to be spending a lot of years trying to communicate, Mr. Quast. If you can't make yourself understood, very simple questions. What were you doing with your money?
I was putting my money into vehicles of mine, getting them fixed, to get them out of there, get them sold, get rid of them. I had 2 vehicles not running. I put a couple $1,000s into one of them.
Did you sell it?
Nope.
Why not?
Still couldn't get it running. It ended up being given away.
When you hired this attorney and you wrote out a check for $2,500, where was his money?
He didn't have any money. He was working.
Right.
He was working construction, but it wasn't a consistent 40-hour week. It was here, there, whenever, and depending on whether he got up or not.
You see, Miss Jack, I understand that when you have then a 20-year-old son who's inculpated in a theft ring, and you know that he's involved in this theft ring because you've got the stolen merchandise in your house. I can understand you as a mother saying, listen, I got to get some advice from an attorney for you because, you're an idiot. Mm-hmm. I raised you, but you're an idiot. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make it alone, Miss Jack. The fact that he continues not to do the right thing does not create a situation where he has a contract with you to pay you back this money. You're just pouring money into an idiot.
Yeah.
I would have poured money into him if he said he wanted to go back to school to get his GED so that he could speak the language.
The day that we obtained the attorney, I wrote out the check for $2,500. Nate signed all the paperwork at the attorney's office. During the meeting with the attorney, he even discussed it with the attorney that he was paying me back. And the attorney spoke to him about being nice and cutting the grass and doing everything for Mom, doing this and borrowing him the money.
Did he cut the grass for you?
No.
No, of course not. Doesn't miss a meal, though.
Yeah, no. In conjunction with spending the money on the cars, he was drinking excessively, too.
Miss Jack, you made a...
I know it.
I want you to tell me about the argument that you had, because that's the second part of your lawsuit. You say he assaulted you.
That assault was over the cars that he's talking about that he was working on. There was one vehicle that was in my garage that had been ripped apart and sitting there for 13 months. He had taken the motor apart to replace the timing chain. In the meantime, I'm trying to get my house ready to sell. I had 2 cars donated to the Veterans Association, one of which was his truck. And that's when he ran upstairs, went into the file cabinet, pulled all the titles to the vehicles, and started flipping out on me, because there was no way we were taking his truck. The truck was in my name. I bought it.
Really?
Yes.
So what happened?
Eventually, I had the restraining order filed on him.
Well, you didn't tell me about the assault.
Oh, the assault happened when I went in the house after the tow truck driver had left. I went to grab the titles out of his hands, and he whipped me across the living room, twisted my arms behind my back, got me head first down into the love seat with his knees in my back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your mother has sort of stood by you?
Stood by me to destroy my life.
I'm going to give you some advice. Go back to school. You need it.
And later today...
What were you arrested for, sir?
OWI.
What's an OWI?
Operating while intoxicated.
Operating on whom?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Barbara Jack, says her son, Nathan Quast, owes for the cost to retain an attorney and an assault. Nathan is countersuing for the return of personal property and a car.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, I came outside and I said, you want me out of here? I'll leave. Just sign over my cards to me, I'll take them and go. She lunged at me. She hit me multiple times. I had a bite mark in my back that big around. I was down like this. I swung underneath her. She flew across the room. She says that I came at her and everything else. No. I ran to the phone, called the police. Police showed up.
And what happened?
She came up with the story. They said either you both go to jail or nobody goes to jail.
And?
I've been in jail a couple times. I ain't going back.
What were you in jail for, Mr. Quast?
Oh, stupid little stuff.
Like?
Not paying a fine.
What kind of fine, sir?
A ticket. Couple
What else?
tickets.
Ticket, a couple of tickets. What else?
That's
Ever have a DUI?
Yeah, I had one of them.
What?
I said yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
How many?
Just one.
All right. Now let me hear a little bit about your counterclaim, sir.
All right, I had one truck, an '89 SM Blazer.
Was it in whose name?
It wasn't her name. At that time, all my vehicles were in her name. It made my insurance cheaper.
How many pieces was the truck in?
Probably at the time she got rid of it, probably 15, 20.
And how long had it been in 15 or 20 pieces?
2-3 months. So over time, all this work has been done to it. I've had receipts, $80, $840 that I've put into this truck. They can't even figure out what was wrong with it. I mean, it ended up almost being a motor. And I actually did go buy a new motor after all this work done to it.
Consider it rent.
Consider it rent?
Consider it rent, sir, and legal fees.
There's never stolen merchandise at my house.
So
it was
your
actually
mother's-
in my
just a second.
buddy's car that showed up.
It was where?
It was in my buddy's car that showed
Your
up at my
buddy's
house.
car. And where was your buddy's car?
He was parked out front when we got the phone call.
And what did the phone call say when you got the phone call?
Police were been called. Everybody's name's been given up.
You better ditch the stuff.
He took off with it.
All right. Now, what else does your mother owe you, aside from the car that was in her name?
All my bedroom furniture.
Your bedroom furniture.
All my bedroom furniture
Who bought
she
it?
has. Me.
Show me a bill.
I don't have the receipts for that.
When did you buy it?
Oh, 4 or 5 years ago.
When you were 16?
Yeah. I've worked at a job since I was 14.
What else?
Actually, I have a home theater system that I bought when I was 15.
Really?
A whole bunch of tools. I mean...
They're gone.
Huh?
They're gone.
They're gone?
She sold them to pay your lawyer.
These are tools I work with, like, they do my job with.
I suggest you go buy new ones. They're gone.
It's not easy to go buy a $750 air compressor, a $500 staple gun.
And is it just as easy to go and replace that as it to replace $2,500 to pay for a lawyer because your idiot son gets into a scheme where stolen property is in front of your house in a car?
She was told she was getting the money back from the attorney.
You mean the attorney was working for nothing because of your personality, sir?
No, he actually said he was giving the money back as soon as statute of limitations is over.
When do you think the statute of limitations is going to be over, sir?
It'll probably be over in 5 years.
6.
6?
Letter said
Not
6.
after they see this tape. Miss Jack, he's your kid. You don't want to give him any more money? Don't give him any more money. You had an altercation with him? Did you go to the hospital?
No, I did not.
All right. Your mother has sort of stood by you, is that right?
Stood by me to destroy my life.
Yeah, well, she stood by you, sir. She allowed you to live in her home. She allowed you to eat her food. She allowed you to, I'm speaking, she allowed you to keep your car pieces in the garage. She went to a lawyer and shelled out $2,500 in hopes that maybe you wouldn't spend the next 2 or 3 years in prison. That's what I'm talking about, sir. So I'm going to give you some advice. From your mother, you get 0, nothing, nada. From me, you get advice. Go back to school. You need it. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I've had a restraining order filed. He was police escorted out of the home, and he has been out of the house since beginning of March.
My brother's now recently staying with me, and he's got 1 foot out the door.
He has financially, ruined me.
She's taking everything from me.
Hope some mothers are smarter than I am.
Retired beer salesman Tony Malabenda is suing maintenance man Robert Green for assaulting him in an airplane. Robert says Tony took his seat. He is countersuing for a ruined vacation.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 92 on the calendar in the matter of Malavenda versus Breen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Malavenda, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you on an airplane.
That's correct.
The defendant says it was just a tap. And he is counterclaiming for ruining the vacation he was planning with his wife, including the loss of some theater tickets because he was hauled off of this plane and he missed his theater and he ruined his vacation. Is that right, Mr. Breen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell me when this incident occurred.
On December the 1st of year 2001,
Where were you going?
to Las Vegas
And where were you boarding the plane?
at Lindbergh Field in San Diego.
Okay, tell me what happened, sir.
At 12 o'clock, we boarded the plane. I say we, it's Dane, Lay, and myself. And we sat down, and there was a...
Did you have assigned seats?
No, there are no assigned seating. We had boarding cards, and we had sat down. It was in the middle of the plane. 15, 20 minutes later, they announced there was a mechanical. Would everybody deplane, leave their luggage, and return to the same seat? It would take no longer than an hour. At that time, we did. And we came back within the hour, and they said, well, it's going to take longer to get the part than we thought it was. So they said, we're going to take another piece of equipment. Everybody go to gate 6.
Another piece of equipment meaning another plane?
A plane, yes, ma'am. Then at that point, both my friend and I went to gate 6. They opened up the gates, and they said, don't worry about seats, just grab the first seat you come to.
It was the same airlines?
Yes.
Not quiet.
And
Not assigned seats?
No, ma'am. There was no assigned seats.
Okay.
So I approached, and the first row was taken, the second row was taken, the third row wasn't. So I let my friend, he doesn't fly that often, I said, go ahead and take the window seat, Dane, because you don't fly. I think he's flown once in his life. He says, fine. So I sat in the middle. I buckled in, and then at that point, the row of the stream of people are coming in. Then this gentleman comes up to me, and he says, you're in my seat. Move. Not please, not anything. And I laughed. I thought he was kidding, like, hey, this is first class, isn't it? You're in my seat. I thought he was, kidding. So at that point, I laughed. And I said, you got to be kidding. That's exactly what I said. You got to be kidding. And at that point, he smacked me on top of the head. And it was so hard, they heard it in the back of the plane. And it
What did he
dazed me.
smack you with?
At that time, I didn't know. I was told it was a book. And I don't know if the palm of the back of his hand hit me. I don't know if the book hit me. I do not know. At that point, he also made the statement, wait until I meet you in Vegas, or wait until I see you in Vegas. It took 5 seconds. And he kept on walking, and I said, I want that blank out of here. And the flight attendant came over, and I explained to her what had happened. They called the harbor police. They went to get him, and they got the wrong person at first. And, and then the party who was facing me, she spoke up. She says, I work for the San Diego Police Department, indicating that she wasn't a police officer, but she worked for them. And she said, I can identify him. And that she got up and went back and identified him, and then he was removed from the aircraft. A few minutes went by, they came and got me. I exited the plane. Would you like to sign a complaint? And I said, yes, I would. And at that point, that was the end of that incident. Got back on the plane, we went to Vegas, and he shows up the same hotel I'm at. Coincidence, and there's no way he would know. So apparently it was coincidence. But in my mind, I don't know how his mind's working, and I don't know what is going through it. So I avoided him.
Did you follow through with the complaint, sir?
Yes, I did.
What happened with that complaint?
They dismissed it because it was just too costly to go ahead and prosecute him.
Because you had no serious injuries.
I was dazed, and I have constant headaches, but that's beside the,
Okay, fine. Now I'll hear your end of the story.
Well, it was also December 1st. It was, we got there at 9:15 for a 12:30 flight. There are no assigned seating, as he says. It's a cattle call. We had boarding passes number 2 and 3 because we had been there since 9:30 in the morning waiting for the 12:30 flight. We boarded the plane, and it was a mechanical problem. We were in the third seat back from the entrance of the plane at that time. They said that they were going to need to move us to another plane, and they did ask us at that time, quote, let's make this as friendly and convenient as possible. Would you all please take your current seat when we move to the new plane?
Okay.
They did repeat that several times while we were...
Yes, ma'am.
They did repeat that several times while we were changing from one plane to another. got onto the plane. I don't believe I've ever seen this gentleman before in my life. Whether he was in the window seat, I don't know. This gentleman and his friend who was in the windows.
Try looking at me when you're testifying, sir.
In the aisle seat. I asked him to move. I did say, "You're in my seats. What do you think you're doing? Move." He laughed, said, "What, are you kidding me? No way, not going to happen." Waved me to go to the back of the plane. I asked him again to move. He continued to laugh in my face. I did at that point lean over the back of the seats in front of him and did mention that when we reached Las Vegas, he might prefer to have me as his friend. Not the most intelligent thing that I've ever done, but that is what I said. At that point, he stood up and said, "Oh, come on, I'll be your friend. Come to my hotel. I'll buy you a drink. We'll have a great time."
You're lying. That's a lie.
No, I'm not.
No, that's a lie. That's not even in your answer. That's not even in your answer, sir. Don't make up stories as we're moving along here. Don't make up stories as you move. He's sitting in his seat. He's buckled in. You lean over. And what you said in your answer was you acted foolishly, but you tapped him with the soft end of a paperback book.
After he stood up and had words with me and was in my face laughing, waved me to the back of the plane one more time. Yes, he was standing up to provoke me. And yes,
he was provoking you? Are you out of your mind? I mean, are you out of your mind? Is there something chronically wrong with you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You saw what he did. What did you say to him?
I didn't say much. I was
shocked. You were shocked. You said to him, "What's wrong with you? Does he have a bad temper?"
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tony Malavenda says fellow passenger Robert Breen assaulted him on an airplane. Tony claims Robert thumped him on the head with a book.
Now, sir, you put your hands on somebody over a seat in a plane? Is there something wrong with you?
Ma'am, after a 3-hour wait to get onto the plane.
Everybody waited for 3 hours. Everybody had a deep plane. Everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't the only one. You weren't taking a private plane, were you?
No.
So you're getting on a plane. Somebody is sitting in a row that you had been on in a previous plane. You told them to move. They didn't move, and you hit them. That's what happened. I mean, that's the long and short of it. You can't do that. I mean, what did you say to him? You're his wife. What did you say to him?
I was ahead of him in line, and I didn't actually speak to my husband. I was watching the situation.
Stand up here. You get back in your seat. You saw what he did. What did you say to him?
I didn't say much. I was
shocked.
Yes.
You were shocked.
I was shocked at the actions of both men, but that it escalated to what it had.
You were shocked. You said to him, "What's wrong with you? Does he have a bad temper?"
No, not really.
Not really. I doubt
He
that.
needs to be provoked, but
by being provoked, it means somebody was sitting in row 3? That was his provocation for hitting somebody?
The gentleman was pushing his buttons. He was...
No. He said, "You're in my seat, move." He said, "I'm not moving." He said it again. Then he leans over and he said to him, "When we get to Vegas, you want to be my friend." That's a threat. That's before anything happened. That's before he got up. So your counterclaim for your destroyed vacation is dismissed because you deserve to have a destroyed vacation. Now, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing the defendant for $5,000. That's overkill.
Yes, ma'am.
Big time. You weren't injured, but he certainly has to be taught that this is not behavior that is acceptable. What are all these papers that you have to show me? I'm just curious.
These are the police report and the witness's report.
Let me just take a look at it quickly.
And my witness off. Yes, ma'am.
You know, Mr. Breen, you don't look like an unintelligent man, bad-tempered, but not unintelligent. You just recounted to me what you said exactly. You made up this whole big story about what he said to you, and that he got up and he was confrontational, and you made a whole story, right, about what he said to you.
I didn't make a story at all, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
sure you did. And you remembered it, and you recounted it. How many months later? 6, 7, 8 months later, you recounted that statement to me as if it was gospel truth. Is that right, sir?
That's what happened on the plane, Your Honor.
All right. So what I'm suggesting to you, sir, is do you think one's memory becomes clearer as time goes on, or do you think it becomes dull?
It becomes a little dulled.
Of course. So I'm going to read you what the police said. Police said, suspect Breen made the following statement, and then it talks about having to deplane one plane for another, and you were told to take the same seats. Breen asked him to move, and Malavenda laughed and refused. As Breen was walking away, and this is your statement, Malavenda made a smart comment which Breen could not recall. So you're saying you're one of the few people who, after a period of time, without hypnosis, without truth serum, things become clearer than they were on the day of the incident. So to the police, you couldn't recall what he said to you, but to me, 8 months later, you recall every word. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The way he said, "You're in my seat, get out." I laughed. I thought the gentleman was kidding.
I was wrong to hit him. I saw him hit Tony upside the head very hard with a paperback book. This book, on the open part, pretty much like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Valero. Step forward, please.
Home health care provider Greg Brown is suing his ex-fiancée, insurance claims assistant Christina Valero, for an unpaid loan. Christina says Greg forgave the loan when they began dating.
Mr. Brown, you claim a loan to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
When she was in some financial difficulty.
Yes, ma'am.
The loan was for rent. The loan was for, I think, $2,300.
Yes, ma'am.
You were paid back $200 from a relative of hers.
Yes, ma'am.
With an outstanding balance of $2,100.
Yes, ma'am.
However, she says that you forgave that loan after you started dating. Is that what your defense is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you meet her, Mr. Brown?
Early September.
Of what year?
2001, ma'am.
And when did you make this loan for the rent, and under what circumstances?
She came to me, she gave me a phone call and said that she was going to be thrown out of her apartment. I gave her the loan under the conditions that she would sign an IOU and pay me back.
Can I see it, please? I assume that that's the piece of paper you have.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I typed that letter, and
I wasn't speaking to you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, as we persisted on our friendship, grew into a relationship, the relationship was quite expensive. She was constantly asking for money. $100 here, $100 there. I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally. So she had told me that she was going to a dinner party with her company in Santa Rosa, and she was supposed to come back that night.
When was that, sir?
That was September 28th, I believe.
Still during the month of September?
Yes, yes. She refused to come back because she said she fell asleep in her car and was there all night. Well, I'm not exactly a fool, so I figured that she was doing something she wasn't supposed to do. At that time, I figured her irresponsibility to the relationship was not what I was looking for, so I dismissed it.
So you terminated the relationship?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you asked her back for the money?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'll hear from you, Miss Valero.
We started as friends, and I was in a financial difficulty at that time, and he offered that he would help us.
Who's us?
My daughter, my sister-in-law here, my son.
Go ahead.
I even typed a promissory note thinking that I would really pay him. And then he said, we went out to dinner and he said he's interested in me. And we started dating, and then he gave me a promise ring, which is this.
All in the month of September?
Yes.
Go ahead, keep going.
And then on my birthday, he gave me this.
When's your birthday?
December.
Now we're jumping to December.
Mm-hmm. Well, the whole month of November, we were fine. Then we broke up for maybe 2-3 weeks because of that incident that I went out with my friends.
Could you get to your defense, please? I'm really anxious.
He promised to marry me. He asked me to marry him.
Yes. When did he ask you to marry him?
Like November.
And what did you say?
And I said, okay, we'll if our relationship is going good,
I'm waiting
finally,
for the defense.
Please. Finally, shh. Finally, all of a sudden, he told me that his mother died. I tried calling him and calling him.
I'm getting weak. Would you tell me what your defense is, madam?
There is.
He disappeared on me.
Yes.
And he told me that when we're together, the loan is gone.
He said if the relationship gets that deeper, you don't have to pay me back the money.
Yes.
So it didn't get that deep. So you have to pay him back the money. What is so hard to understand?
Yes, Your Honor, it got deeper because we tried looking for a house and we were talking about marriage.
So?
He even put away an engagement ring for me.
It sounds like he was a very nice man. He's not asking you for the jewelry back.
He is.
No, he isn't. Not in this lawsuit.
Yes,
He's
he
not.
told my sister-in-law here.
He's not
that he
asking
wanted-
for. Listen, this is his one shot at a lawsuit. He's not asking for the jewelry back. He knows that that was a gift.
That's right.
He knows he can't get the jewelry back. Jewelry that looks very nice on you, and I'm sure you enjoy wearing. This was a loan. And if he forgave the loan, what you do is you say, if you forgive the loan, Greg, if you forgive the loan, could I have the IOU back that I signed and I typed, and I'd like to rip it up. We'll have a ripping up IOU party. That's what you do when he forgives the loan. Meanwhile, you have to pay him back his money. Stop being a gold digger and a taker. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Even after the loan, it's constantly at $100 here, $100 there. It's ridiculous.
He just disappeared on me. I don't think I owe him that money.
I was being taken advantage of, clearly.
Never took advantage of anybody.
She called me and said, I haven't seen you in a while, and how come you don't give me any more money? And that was the last straw.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tremblay versus Hoyt. Step forward, please.
Telemarketer Diane Tremblay is suing her son's ex-girlfriend, 23-year-old collection agent Jamie Hoyt, for breaking an apartment lease. Jamie says Diane's son was abusive.
Miss Tremblay, Miss Hoyt is your son's former girlfriend.
Yes.
And is this the son?
Yes, he is.
According to what I read, you and your son and Miss Hoyt shared an apartment together. Each of you were responsible for a third of the rent, or $600. Miss Hoyt left 1 month prior to the expiration of the lease. You want her to pay her $600.
Correct.
And Ms. Hoyt says that your son's behavior rendered it dangerous for her to live there, so she left. That's your defense. Is that right?
Correct.
When did you move out?
It was around the first 2 weeks of January. I don't know the exact date, though.
Had you paid January's rent?
Yes, I had.
So the month that you hadn't paid was February?
Correct.
Is it correct that she left within the first 2 weeks of January?
Yes, but her belongings were there till the end of the month.
I don't care, but she had paid the rent?
Yes, she did.
Tell me what happened. What caused you to leave?
It was a few things, actually. Eric and I fought a lot, and when we would fight, we could go 12 rounds most of the time.
You mean physically or verbally?
We would just scream at each other, and the fact that Diane also lived there, she would take her son's side, so it's not like I was just fighting him, I was fighting her as well. And I just got to the point where I just couldn't fight anymore. I would come home, and sometimes we would fight all night long, and neighbors would hear us fighting and ask us what was going on the next day. It got to be embarrassing to leave my house sometimes. The fact that Diane drinks the way that she does also made it hard to live there, because I have alcoholics in my family and I know what it's like to live with one, and that's pretty much it.
You knew that when you moved in?
Yes.
So that's not anything new. So there was no real precipitating factor that caused you to leave?
Well, the day that I left, Eric and I were in our fighting match as usual, and we were in the closet. And
why were you in a closet?
Because I was packing my things. And we got into the fight, and we had a small, I guess it's like a square laundry basket. And I don't know if it was on purpose or if it wasn't on purpose, but it was dropped on my head by Eric when we were fighting. And I just left my stuff there, and I left.
Your Honor, this has been going on for 3 solid years with Jamie and Eric. She moved in, she was a complete stranger, and we took her in because her mother had kicked her out of her house. And we took her in, and she paid no rent whatsoever. Then we moved, and she signed a year lease and stayed for 9 months. She left, they were quarreling. She usually started the fights. She would attack him, she would bite him. He has physical bruises all over his body where she attacked him several times. Eric never did anything but to try to defend himself. And then after that, she moved back in again. She stayed for almost a year, paid nothing. And they fought on and off. It was a continual thing.
Well, why did you permit that, Ms. Tremblay?
I actually stayed out of their fighting. She says that I interfered.
Why did you permit her to move in?
Eric let her come back in. Jamie does what she wants.
Just a minute, how old is he?
She walks out. She comes
in
our window.
How old is he?
He's 22 years old. But when she wants to come in, she'll climb in our window. You know,
Miss
she
Tremblay.
comes in anytime she wants.
Miss Tremblay.
My son had to have her taken away to a mental institution for 3 days. I mean, she went chasing her around with knives.
Miss Tremblay.
Knives. And she was put away. During all these, years. I mean, it's been horrible. And she has been the one that, she has undermined him, she has belittled him, she has brainwashed him.
Are you finished? Are you finished? Are you still living in the same apartment that you were living in when she moved out?
Yes, my son and I are.
You don't have a third roommate, do you?
We do right now because we need help with the rent. Because Eric was laid off. He's entering the military very soon.
Well, they take him tomorrow if they're going to take him.
He's all signed up.
So what's the holdup, Eric?
He had to lose a few pounds.
No, I'm actually enlisted now. I'm in the DEP program. The actual MOS that the actual MOS
When was the last time you worked full time?
back in October. It's been a couple months.
No, a couple is 2.
He's had a hard time finding work.
Well,
Listen, it was not a good arrangement. You weren't happy with the arrangement. He wasn't happy with the arrangement. She wasn't happy with the arrangement. Before it became just a verbal confrontation between your son and the defendant, she left. Very smart. Deal with it. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I never climbed in and out of windows.
Climbing in and out of the windows, yeah, she's done it whenever she's felt like it. When she's moved out and she wanted to come back in for something, for some reason or other, it's all true.
When you're in love, you know, you do whatever love tells you to do.
She lies continually. She has stolen from us.
His mom doesn't like me for no apparent reason.
this is just going to be something that's going to be ongoing between them for the rest of our lives.
At least just be friendly with each other.
I see us having a good future together, just one without my mother.
No need for name calling anymore and screaming matches.
He's been brainwashed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lampa versus Fout. Step forward.
23-year-old Mindy Lampa is suing her former friend, 23-year-old Gary Fout, for an unpaid loan. Mindy claims Gary promised to repay the loan with his tax refund, but never did.
Miss Lampa, Mr. Fout was a friend of yours, and according to what I've read, you've known him for about 4 years.
Correct.
Are you an accountant by trade?
No.
But you do your own income tax and you do income tax for other people?
Correct.
This past year, Mr. Fout asked you to do his taxes, according to your complaint.
Correct.
And you agreed for a small fee.
Right.
So far, are we correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were entitled to a refund.
Yes, ma'am.
Of how much, sir?
$28.60 or something like that.
Is that right?
$28.81.
And you wanted that refund right away.
Yeah.
And what did you tell him, Miss Lampa?
I told him that if he agreed to give me the refund, give me the money back once the refund was posted, that I would give him the loan as long as he agreed to it. He said he would, so I wrote him the check.
So far, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you do his taxes?
February 13th, the week of the February 13th.
And when did you give him the check?
I wrote him the check on February 16th.
And when did you cash the check, Mr. Fout?
It was deposited maybe this next day.
Yeah. You did get the refund back.
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't give her the money.
No.
And the reason that you didn't give her the money is because, A, you say that she told your mother, and she shouldn't have done that.
Correct.
And B, she doesn't need the money anyway. Shh. Please.
That wasn't the case, no.
Well, that's what you say in your answer.
Well, the reason was she had started calling me about a week.
Just a second. I just want to make sure I had both of your reasons, both of your defenses. Okay. One, you say that the plaintiff told your mother.
Correct.
And the second thing was, I don't know why she is so hard up for this money. She lives expense-free with my father-in-law.
Correct.
So, my first question is, how do you know this idiot?
He used to be a co-worker with me.
Okay. You got 10 seconds to explain to me why she isn't entitled to this judgment.
She called me about a week after she gave me the check, saying, I want the money, I want the money. I hadn't had the refund yet.
When did you get the refund?
It was about...
That's very easy to figure out, sir.
It was 7 or 8 weeks afterwards, I believe.
I do have a copy of the
I'd like
status.
to see it.
It was posted about 6 weeks after.
March 11th. So It's February 17th. So it was less than a month later that you got the check. I'm speaking. Sorry. It was less than a month later.
Okay.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you got the check, March 11th, why didn't you give her the money?
She had called me about a week after she gave me the check, her check, saying, I need it. Told her it hadn't deposited yet. She said she was going to call my mother and tell her to give it to her, and then I would pay her back. I told her, I said, if you call my mother, I'm not paying you, period. I don't want my mother involved. This is between me and you. In the story. If you call her, I'm not paying.
You can't make, listen to me. You cannot unilaterally modify a contract. You know what that means? No. Didn't think you did. You can't say to her, if you do thus and such, I'm not going to pay you back unless she agrees to it.
She did agree.
She agreed.
Yes,
Just a second. Are you telling me, Mr. Fout, that when you said to her, if you call my mother, I'm not going to pay you back, she said to you, fine. If I call your mother, you won't have to pay me back? Is that what you're telling me?
Not in that many words. What she said was, that's fine, then I will not call her.
I never said that.
She did, created problems with me and my mother.
That's too bad.
Well, the problem was, it was...
Your Honor, I waited a week.
You know, in her world, her adopted father is her everything, and he jumps when she tells her to. My mother and me don't do that, and I did not want her to cause problems between me and my mother, which she did, when I only see my mother maybe every 2 weeks. Cause problems because she had to run like a child and tell her.
Mr. Fout, there's only one child in this room. Unfortunately, I have a sense that this young lady, who's your girlfriend, right?
Wife.
After 6 months of dating.
Relax.
Excuse you.
You've been with how many people in my life?
Don't speak to her.
Baby.
You want to speak to her? You speak to her outside when you're handing her your
Yeah.
check. But in here, you only talk to me.
Yes, ma'am.
One child in here, and that's a child that doesn't pay their debts. Somebody who is a friend of yours. A friend of yours.
We weren't friends at the time.
Listen to me, Mr. Fout.
Yes, ma'am.
If you weren't friendly with her at the time, why do you think a stranger would say to you, you want your money now so that you can have instant gratification? I'll give you the money, interest-free, because I have so much money, it's not going to make any difference to me. Do you know anybody like that?
No.
No, of course not. I mean, did you actually think you were going to come here today and walk away unscathed?
Well, no.
You acted like a child.
No, the problem
She chose to marry a child. That's her problem.
No,
when you owe somebody money, when you make a contract, you pay your bills, Mr. Fout.
And then
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,881.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cochran versus Saylor. Step forward, please.
Film operator Mary Cochran is suing her former roommate, 19-year-old cashier Jackie Saylor, for unpaid rent, an unpaid car loan, and the return of her personal belongings. Jackie says Mary has already been paid.
Miss Cochran, the defendant and her baby moved into your home.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you were being nice to her. How did you know her?
I met her at work.
And she needed a place to stay with her baby?
No, she had an apartment at the time. I was really quite impressed with her when I met her. She was 18 and working very hard to take care of her baby on her own. She went to work like 2 weeks after she delivered this baby. I thought that was quite admirable. And she was living in the apartment. It was very tiny. She was always telling me how her aunt and the rest of her family complained about helping her out, taking her places, doing things, watching the child, so on and so forth. And I was about to begin to go through a divorce myself, and I thought that it would help her out to get her out of this teeny apartment, and it would help me out to have someone additionally at the house. She could go ahead and move in with me. I told
You have children?
No, ma'am, I do not.
So you just wanted her in your house for company?
No, I thought it would help us both. We had became friends at work.
Okay, but it was for company, not to watch your children in exchange for living.
Right,
okay.
certainly.
Your lawsuit seeks a couple of things. First, you say that you helped her out, purchased a car. She put down the down payment on the car, and you put the rest of the payments on your credit card, and she was supposed to pay you back. Is that right?
Not quite.
Okay, well, tell me where I'm wrong.
What we had done is we put the entire amount on the credit card, and then she made the payment. She had managed to save $1,100.
So she made a big payment.
She made big payments to me.
And then she was supposed to make...
She was supposed to pay at least the minimum on the credit card bill to pay it off.
Okay. And you claimed that there was still a balance owed for
Yes,
the car.
ma'am, there is.
Then, despite the fact that when she first moved in, there was no agreement that she pay rent, you say that at some point she wanted to pay rent, and you agreed that she would give you some money for rent, and she owes you for 2 months' rent. Did she ever pay you rent?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
How many months did she pay rent?
She paid me for May. She came to me in April and said that she felt bad. And I told her, you know, I could certainly use it if she didn't mind. And she paid me May's rent, and she paid me all but $25 of June's rent.
Okay, so what does she owe you for July?
She owes me the $25 for June and the $250, which was the figure that she chose.
When did you move out?
She
Ms.
moved
Saylor?
out.
I moved out on August 6th.
Did you pay July's rent?
No, I did not pay July's rent.
Okay. And then you say when she moved out, she took some property of yours. You want to tell me what property she took of yours?
I have the list here. A blouse, some art pads and books she was interested in drawing and such, and I had some Disney books. A couple of the things that are on here, she did return to me prior to our initial...
Are we talking about nonsense? I don't want to talk about nonsense. I want to concentrate on important stuff. Is some stuff that you gave her? Like
yes, and I have deducted that amount.
Are we talking about nonsense with the things that she took from the house? I don't want to talk about a blouse. I don't have time for a blouse. You know. Are we talking nonsense?
I suppose so.
All right, I don't want to talk nonsense. We're talking about July's rent, and we're talking about the car. How much do you claim she still owes on the car?
She still owes me $2,452.82.
Can I see what documentation you have, please?
And that also includes the futon that she bought. That's all on the same card.
Did you buy a futon?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you take it with you when you moved out?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was this credit card used solely for her?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes.
You paid some off. You say you paid everything off.
I paid what we originally agreed. We didn't talk about interest in the original agreement. I had no idea I was supposed to be paying her interest. When I was paying
Well, you're
her,
not paying her interest.
Well, the card. She told me I didn't have to pay the interest on the card.
Did she?
Yes. There was no agreement about me paying interest.
No, there's a difference between no agreement.
She didn't tell me anything. She said that, I mean, there was no talk about it at all.
But how do you think that the credit card company makes their money? Finance charge is how credit cards make their money. If you don't pay the whole thing off, then you have to pay the finance charges. She's not charging it to you. They're charging it.
Well, I mean, I think
who's supposed to pay the interest on the credit card? She allows you to buy a car and took out the money from the credit card. And you're not paying the whole amount off at one time. You're paying little bits at a time, right?
Yes.
Well, who's supposed to pay the interest to the credit card company? 17% interest. Who's supposed to pay that?
I mean, we didn't... I was 18 years old. I didn't know nothing about credit. I mean, she didn't even bring it up. I didn't know nothing about it. I never used a credit card before.
You don't live on Pluto, madam. You know that credit cards...
Yes, ma'am.
You know that credit cards charge interest. That's how they make money. You're not stupid, are you?
No.
How much in payments did you make in total?
I'm not exactly sure. I didn't get receipts from her. I just paid her, you know, cash. Whenever I had extra cash, I would give her whatever I had. The payments ranged from $100. Once I paid her $200, almost $300. Just whatever I had extra that I didn't have to buy diapers and stuff with.
Why did you leave?
I left because when she met her boyfriend, she was staying out a lot, and she wasn't taking care of her pets. They had fleas. She wouldn't get rid of the fleas in the house. I had to feed them and clean up after them. They would come in and make messes and then leave, and I would clean it up. And I just decided that I didn't want to anymore, so I moved out.
Where did you go?
I went to my father's.
Did you take your car?
Yeah.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Pontiac Grand Am.
Well, with the $250 in rent, you owe $2,703 to the plaintiff. That's what you owe her. You paid a lot off because the original price of the car was $3,375.01. And when was that purchased? March 20th of 01? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you paid a substantial amount off, but $150, $100, $150, that doesn't go to pay all of that off in a year. Do you understand? Because your defense is that you paid off the whole car. And even from what you tell me, you couldn't have paid off the whole car. Anyway, there are no other charges on this car other than that. So judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,703. Anything else that I have to decide? Nothing. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step.
Judge Judy seems mouthy, but fair, I guess.
I'll try not to wear a giant sucker sign on my face anymore.
I don't appreciate the accusations of me stealing things from her.
Very difficult. It was not something that I care to go through again.
She did help when I needed it, and that's good.
Once in a while you find someone that you feel is deserving, and all they need is just a hand for a little extra push.
She called me on the phone, and I returned what I actually had and that she didn't give me.
And I'll be a little more wary about giving that hand.
The other things that she gave me, I kept.
Choose your friends wisely.
Get receipts.